Cast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Oh, we're filling up pretty good. So I'm going to hand out 2 sheets of paper. Blank one is for you to write your name on, so hopefully I can start learning these things that I don't know. If you just write your name and do a triangle fold on it and set it on top of your tower, and I can at least address it by name for things this morning. Good to have you here. Where else if you would rather be on a nice morning? Sitting in front of a computer screen. think we'll go ahead and get rolling here. We've got looks like Suzette's joining us online. And Suzette, I don't know if you have a microphone or not. Can you tell me if you can hear me? There's a little button to raise your hand. I don't know if you can see that, but if you could click to raise your hand so that if you can hear me okay. Excellent. Okay, good to have you with us. So, I think a lot of you, how are you?
Hey, good. I'm just not signed up. I'm just on the waiting list, but I didn't know if you had any.
There's a couple of free computers right now, so yeah, so go grab a seat and okay. So we had a lot of signups for the class. Not quite sure where the interest came from, if it's from technology or Golden Spring or me, or whether it's the fact that we're actually able to move across the salary schedule. So, but one way or the other, we had a lot of people sign up. So you have a couple of options, and I sent out an email. I'm not sure if everybody got that or not. But we're going to go ahead and run 2 sessions of the class. So we'll run one in the morning from 8 to right around noon, and then one in the afternoon from 12:30 to 4:30. So if you have conflicts come up, know that you've got another option for the class. If afternoon works better, then you can do that. And then I'm also doing the class online. Suzette Miller's online right now, taking it, and a couple of others. So, and with the online option, you can either participate live like Suzette is right now, and she can hear the class and see the screen and do those things just like the webinar. But I'm also recording the sessions, so you can go back and review them. So if you miss a class, you'll have a way to go back and see what we did in class, or if you want to go back and review a concept, you can go back and watch it that way as well. So we'll kind of come back and talk about more of that. But does anybody, I guess, does afternoon schedule work better for anybody in here, or is morning? Okay, so we should be good to go. But just know we do have that other option for the afternoon as well. Just as far as, I guess, setup and those kinds of things, there's 2 restrooms right out in this hallway that you came in. And then if you go through the door, there's 2 more sets of restrooms right there as well. So I'll plan on taking a break probably right around 10. And then, but if you need to grab a drink of water, use restrooms, then just jump up and do whatever you need to take care of. So other general questions for me at all as we get rolling here? Everybody's good? Okay. So did you get a copy of the class schedule then? Did you get a copy of this one? Copy that. So hopefully that should at least be an outline for how we'll spend the next few days together. But I'm pretty flexible with it. If there are things that you want to cover that I don't have listed, I'm more than happy to take a detour and we can cover whatever you want to cover. Or if we need to slow down and spend more time to really get in depth on something or make sure that we understand one of the things that we'll be talking about, or any of the things we'll be talking about, we can certainly slow down as well. So, but this is pretty close to the content we've covered with this class before. I've never done it on a 4-hour block before. We've always done about 2-hour blocks, 2.5-hour blocks once a week. So this will be kind of an interesting format, but I think it should work well for us. Did anybody not get my email that I sent out last week, just out of curiosity? Okay, so a couple of you did. So
last week or yesterday?
Oh, I didn't get last.
What's that?
Last week, I got one like yesterday, but not
Yesterday,
last week.
but not last week. Okay. Okay. So let's just start with that for a second. To check your email on any computer besides the one that's actually in your classroom, you go to outlook.com. You can get to it through the district webpage or through your school webpage, but that's a pretty simple address to remember as well. And that's actually where we're going to start today anyway. So why don't we go ahead and open up Internet Explorer with Outlook.com. We'll just start checking our email. Now, I know we have one new teacher who won't have a district email address yet. Anybody else not have a district email address? Okay. And so for Christine, if you'll be able to basically catch the same content if you'll go to, this is just for Christine, but if you'll go to live.com. And what's your personal email address, Christine? Do you use Gmail or Yahoo or, oh, it's Hotmail? Perfect. Okay, then you're in great shape. You can just log into live.com with your Hotmail account then. Sounds good, son. Has everybody checked your email through outlook.com before, or is this new for some folks? I'm just gonna volunteer and say that it's new. So again, with Outlook, Outlook is a program that gets installed onto your computer, and it's very specific to the person who uses that computer. So that's why if you come here to the tech center, or if you go down to your computer in your computer lab, and if you try to get your email through Outlook, it's going to throw some errors. Okay, because that's got to be set up and configured specifically to you as a user. But you can go to outlook.com and log in with your full district email address. Okay, so for me that would be that whole shebang, and then your district password. Okay. So everybody able to get in and check your email. So hopefully, I sent out two. I sent out one last night, and I did send one out last week as well. But I know Etta was kind of updating the class list for me as we went, so I'm not sure if she had everybody on that first list that I sent out. Well, I didn't update it, I don't think so. Why don't we take just a minute? I don't really have Outlook as a huge part of the class, but I think it's at least worth taking a look at. So I think everybody's probably used to your email with Outlook. Nice thing about this, I don't know if anybody remembers back when we were on the old version of Outlook before last spring, but this one's really fairly similar to opening it up on your program on your desktop computer. You've got your folder list here to the side. If you don't use folders to organize your email, I would highly recommend it. Definitely keeps things straight. So if your inbox is just completely, if everything is in your inbox, you can right click up here on inbox and go down to create a new folder, and you can actually start to create folders and organize emails according to subjects or topics or who they're from, whatever works best for you. So these are just some examples on mine, but I've got a to-do list, specific emails about job responsibilities, professional development classes. Okay, so hopefully everybody's kind of familiar with creating folders in Outlook and moving emails into those to help keep things a little bit organized. Another nice, yeah, go ahead.
How would you move it into the folder?
So you can, so for example, this one, I can right click on it and I can come down here and say move to a folder. You also have a copy to folder option, which leaves the original in one place and then puts a copy of it somewhere else. My email gets so cluttered as it is, I'd hate to even think about creating duplicate emails and have to find it to delete it twice, but that is an option as well. And then one thing I really like is you can, I don't know if anybody's seen this little flag here, but you can actually click on that flag. And what that does is it gives you the option, not just to flag it, but you can actually set reminders based off of that. Okay, so when I right click on the flag, I can tell it when to remind me to follow up with that, or I can set my own date reminder. I can come back and mark the ones that are complete later. And so it's an easy way that I can go and find those ones that I know I need to follow up with. Okay, so I can come up here and say click on the folder or on the filter, click on flagged. And if I give it a second, it should filter just to the ones that I've got marked. Okay, so these are all the ones I've got flagged that I know I need to follow up with. Okay, so that's email. And again, if I'll give you a chance later to kind of give you some feedback. If you want to spend some more time coming back and talking about some, email organization ideas or tips or things, we can certainly do that. There's also down here in the bottom left corner, there's a few more icons. There's a calendar icon. So you don't know how many of you are using that calendar icon, but I don't think I could survive if I didn't have my Outlook calendar. If you have a smartphone, basically a Droid or an iPhone, you can set those up so that they have the same calendar on them as your school calendar. And actually, you can do multiple calendars. So, for example, on my phone, my main calendar I have set to my school calendar, so everything that's on there I see. But then to kind of keep things organized with my wife and our kids, we have a Yahoo calendar through our personal email address, and I have that one on my phone as well in a different color. And I have a church calendar, so I can kind of keep my lives separated, but see them all in the same place and turn them on and turn them off and those kinds of things. So just out of curiosity, how many of you can see your school calendar on your phones? Anybody set that up yet? Anybody interested in setting that up? Okay. Let me put that in a parking lot over here, and I'll just need to get a document out, share it with you so I can show you how to do that. So again, and then the nice thing is any reminder I set in Outlook, I get that same reminder on my phone. Sometimes it pops up at 2 in the morning, so that's not always the best, but I at least get the reminders. So. Okay. So there's calendars, there's your contacts, and same thing, you can set your contacts so that you can have them on your school computer. And again, it's not just your school computer, but I can go to any computer in the world, hit the internet, and I've got my contacts there, but those are synced again back with my phone, so I've got the same contacts on my phone, and then a to-do list too. So you've got all those different options in Outlook that are really there to help kind of keep things organized and keep your life managed more efficiently. And so if we're not using those tools, those are definitely great tools that we can spend some time on in class talking about. Okay. But where I wanted to start today, and so again, we can definitely backtrack and we can pick up some of those things, but where I wanted to start today was with cloud computing. So I'm sure most of us have heard that term, okay, but maybe we don't have a real good feel for what that actually means. So let's take a minute and talk about cloud. Okay. If you want to get rid of it, you can click on your mail icon, and they'll take you back to your mail. You can just minimize the web browser if you want to. Okay. So this is a hard drive. This is 80 gigs, so it's probably about 3 or 4 years old. Anybody ever pulled one of those out of your computers before? Seen those? Okay. So on your computers, that's where most of the information gets stored. So like when you install a program on your computer, it writes that program to your hard drive. Usually, if you're on your home computer, when you save your documents, it's saving them on your hard drive. All those things that you're pulling from your computer, again, most of them are coming up off of your hard drive. So I don't know if anybody's ever had a hard drive fail, but these do fail. Generally, they have a lifespan of, I would say, 10 to 12 years is a pretty good lifespan on them. So if you've got a 10 to 12-year-old computer that has, like, say, family photos, you might be careful with that. I pulled one of ours out that had pictures of our kids on it and was working on it and shorted it out, and we lost our family photos. So my wife wasn't really typical. Actually, what I actually had the external one. So I don't know if you've seen, but generally they're smaller than this now, but they have these external cases. And I said, oh no, just let's save everything to that and it'll be fine. And then I dropped it off our kitchen table and it went dented it there. What these have is they have a little disc that spins around, and then like a record player or a CD, you can actually hear the disc like clicking as it goes around. Like, that's not good, so I can never recover it. But so anyway, that's a hard drive. So that's where, again, most of the things on your computer get stored. So the cloud, basically, instead of storing those right on your computer, it's taking and it's putting them onto a server that is somewhere out in the world. So somewhere in the world, there is a hard drive that your computer is talking to. So here, somewhere in the world, there's a hard drive, and your computer here is going through the internet to talk to that hard drive. Okay. That's all cloud computing is. Instead of storing that information on your computer, it's taking it, passing it through the internet, and somewhere in the world, there is one of these hard drives that probably has quite a bit bigger capacity to it that's storing that information. So here in the district, we've actually been doing cloud computing for, I'll bet it's been 5 years, but we probably didn't even know it. Anybody know how we're doing that? Anybody ever seen that? When you say something in your documents, anybody know where it goes? Yeah, it goes to a server. So about 5 years ago, before I was in my position here, they took everything, and instead of putting it onto, actually that's probably my second year at Hillcrest, so it's probably been even 8 years ago. But instead of saving things locally onto computers, they said, let's put those over on the servers here. So there's some advantages and disadvantages to that. Some of the advantages are you can go anywhere in the district, log onto a computer, and you can access your documents. Where if you were on if those were saved just to your local hard drive, they would be basically stuck there and you wouldn't be able to get to them if you went down to the computer lab or say Cape Fear Tech Center did those things. The other thing it does is it allows us to back up much more efficiently. So everything's on that server, and then that gets backed up on a daily basis to another set of hard drives, and we kind of cycle through those. So that if a teacher ever loses something from their document, something crashes, or if you lose a document, there's a way that you can go back and retrieve those off of hard drive. We have about 50 of these that we just cycle through on a daily basis. So those are some advantages to it. Anybody experience any disadvantages to that in the last year, say especially last fall? Anybody remember the good old days last fall? What happened last fall?
You couldn't access any of your documents. It was just no
Right.
issues.
So you were trying to get to your documents and you were having problems with our switches. And so while this is a nice straight arrow here from your computer to the web, the reality is much, much different. So what happens is your computer connects through one of these blue cables here that are at the back of your computer into a port. And generally there's about 50 computers that are connected to that port. I don't know if any of you have seen those. And then throughout a school, depending on how big the school is, this one might go through to a switch, or it might tie into 5 or 6 others of these here at the high school into another switch. And then that switch runs back here to the district server. So we had a couple of issues. One is these switches right here are about 10 years old. So if you've ever tried running a 10-year-old computer like I have in my basement of my house, you know what that experience is like. They're slow, they're buggy, they just don't work as well as they did 10 years ago for a variety of reasons. And that's what's happening with our switches, is we're basically running today's data, which is a lot of data, through switches that are 10 years old. And so those started to bog down. We had issues with those. It looked like our servers were actually crashing. And it turned out it wasn't our servers at all. It was the switches that weren't letting the traffic get through into our servers. So last fall was a very frustrating fall for teachers, for the tech department. Lane, I don't know how many of you guys know Lane, but he's really in charge of the servers here. He started completely like rebuilding servers, wiping out, rebooting, and he did that for a period of 3 weeks until he realized it wasn't servers at all. So he had as frustrated as teachers were, he was definitely not frustrated here. Finally, we found the problem with the switches and got that fixed, and it's worked better. But the reality is, because you're going through the cloud, you're depending on those network connections to work 100% of the time versus just pulling something up off your documents. So that's one example of the cloud is the My Documents here at P93 are stored over here, or right back here in the back room, that we use. Anybody use any other applications for cloud computing? Anybody sending anything else to the internet anymore?
There's SkyDrive that I haven't used.
Okay, excellent. So there's SkyDrive, and we're going to take a look at that here in just a second. Back before Microsoft ever thought of SkyDrive, Google came out with one called Google Docs, and this is probably really the first really easy to use cloud computing for documents. Anybody ever have a Google Docs account? Still have it? So if any of you filled out that survey that I sent out again last week, I got about 22 responses. All that was done through Google Docs. So Google, that started, of course, as a search engine. They've not content with just being a search engine. They kind of tried to take on Apple and Microsoft and those things. And so what they launched about 6 years ago was say, okay, we can't compete with Microsoft. We can't build something like Word or Excel. We can't build a better product than we have. But what we can do is we can make it free and we can put it out on the internet so anybody in the world can use it. So they released Google Docs, so you can go and through a Gmail account, you can log on and you can create a spreadsheet, you can do a presentation, you can do a document. You can save all those things back into Microsoft's format and use them in Microsoft, but they made it free. And so that, of course, totally changes the dynamic with Microsoft, and they realize that they can't keep competing against a free product. So in a classic Microsoft fashion, they copied it and released SkyDrive. So this is basically Microsoft's version of Google Docs. Okay, with that, anybody else use anything? There's some things like, it just gets to be more and more popular. I know Adobe has a thing where you can back up like your photos online. I don't know if anybody started trying to back up your photos online so you don't lose those, but there's lots of services that let you log on and back up your photos and your documents and those kinds of things online. So that if that hard drive ever does crash, your computer ever crashes, you've got those safely stored somewhere out in the cloud. Bob sent me a message in My Big Campus last night. Anybody else using My Big Campus? No? Okay, one couple hands. So My Big Campus is another option we have really for cloud computing, where we can start to take some files and put them out there on the internet for students and for parents and things like and those kinds of people to access. So we have quite a few options for cloud computing, and we'll kind of talk about what those advantages are as we get rolling here. So let's start with SkyDrive. So out of curiosity, how many of you have Microsoft Office installed on your home computers? Anybody have it? Okay. Anybody not have Microsoft Office at home? Really, everybody does? Maybe it's not as big an advantage as I thought. Any drawbacks to Microsoft Office at home? The big one for me is always the cost. It's not a cheap program, and they've started to come down a little bit with educators, but still, it's not really a cheap program at all. And so we actually kind of have a cool thing that'll be coming out here this fall. But in the meantime, what we have is you can actually get on, and through the cloud, you can access, you can actually create Word documents, Excel documents, and PowerPoint presentations and notebooks right on the cloud. And so if you don't have Office installed at home, or if you take your kids to the library and you want to be working down at Idle Falls Library, or again any computer in the world that has internet access, you can go right on and you can create documents using kind of a scaled down version of Microsoft Office.
Is it only an Outlook you can do that?
So you have to log in to live.com is the site. So
It's better to do it through live.com than outlook.com?
No. So what you have is Microsoft has live.com is out there for really anybody in the whole world. Okay, well, and you can, if you sign up with the Hotmail an email account, you've got access to live.com, and you can do Hotmail or Live. They have a couple different options. Outlook is specific to organizations that have their email hosted with Outlook. So what that means is up until last year, our email here at the district was hosted on a server. So all of our email here at the district office, so all of our email was stored on a hard drive, actually in the Old Tech Center. Then last year, we partnered with Microsoft and basically put our email up in the cloud. So rather than us hosting it here, all of our email is actually stored on Microsoft servers, wherever Microsoft does their stuff. I don't know if it's India, I don't know if it's Washington, I have no idea where it is. Probably multiple locations actually. So all of our email's out there. So when we did that, that put us here with Outlook.com. So again, anybody in the world can go to live.com and have access to their SkyDrive. But for your specific District 93 email address, you'll always use Outlook.com to get to it. If that makes sense. But you can go on and you can, in fact, I've done this. Because of that free storage that they have with SkyDrive, I signed up for a personal email address with Outlook.com so that I could have my personal documents on there, plus I could have my school documents on there, kind of separate. Does that make sense? Am I losing folks? Like I'm talking a lot. I'll get it real good. Yes.
What about if this is out there in the cloud somewhere, can anybody have access then to it since it's out there?
So it's really not a whole lot different. In fact, if anything, I'd say it's more secure than we had it here. Because the reality is, as soon as this computer connects to the net, connects to the World Wide Web, that connection is there. So somebody could theoretically hack into it. Okay, so the question is, are we as a district better able to secure those things that a multi-billion-dollar company is able to secure? I would say it's a better bet to have it with Microsoft and a multi-billion-dollar company that can really provide more security than we can do here. That being said, we're putting our faith and trust in Microsoft that they will do that, and that somebody at Microsoft will get into the system. So basically, for them to be have any kind of what's what I'm looking for? Yes, thank you. It's like it starts with a C, and yeah, for them to have any kind of credibility as a company to be able to market their products, they've got to guarantee that their things are safe. So I think it's, I definitely think that it's safe there. I don't have too many concerns about that. But interesting, this last month of school, I don't know if anybody was trying to get on the internet at about 12:30 in the afternoon this last month of school. Yeah, and our whole network was crashing. And we kind of have some guesses on what happened, because interestingly enough, it happened at the same time every other day. So if you're familiar with our high school schedules that have an 80 block that alternates every other day, and 12:30 is right about the time third hour starts with our high schools, and it happened to stop on the day that seniors graduated. So just some interesting coincidences there, but somebody was basically going out and launching an attack against our network. It's called a denial of service attack, which meant they were using literally thousands of computers to try to access our network. So they were hitting our web page, and that was crashing our whole accessibility to the internet, because all that traffic coming in meant we couldn't get any traffic out. So that was kind of an interesting thing we had, and again, it stopped on the last day the seniors were here, and we haven't experienced it since. Those kinds of things Microsoft can handle much more effectively. They're just better geared up to handle those things than we are in our district. So, okay. So let's jump into SkyDrive a little bit. So what I did, I'm going to click cancel here. Okay. But again, I have a link here that says Office, and I've got a couple of different options on there. Oh, I'm already there. Okay, so when I clicked on Office, it brought me here to SkyDrive. I notice it has a couple of things. It's got files, and then it's broken it down into documents and photos. Okay, and and then down here, it's telling me how much space I have on there. So I don't know if anybody got that email that we sent out just about a month ago. When we first got everything moved over with Microsoft, and when Microsoft first put SkyDrive out there, they were letting people have 25 gigs of storage, which is a huge amount of cloud storage. Generally, for free storage, you get somewhere between 2 and 5 gigs, and Microsoft is letting you have 25, which is again, an incredible amount. So we were very excited about that. And then they switched that in April and said, no, you can only have 7. However, people had been using it. They allowed them in a really short window to say, I have 25, I want to keep using 25. So that's why mine still says 25 there, but I'm seeing most of yours says 7, which is still pretty good. 7 gigs of free storage. If you're to buy a flash drive, 7 gigs is going to cost about $20-25. You get 7 gigs for free. But let's talk about that for just a minute, because I think that's a good comparison as well. So in addition to those hard drives that I showed you, probably most of you have a flash drive. Here's one. Okay. So flash drives all look, the outside might look different, but the inside's all the same. And that is, you've got this little USB connector that's put onto a little green card that has flash memory on it. So the difference between flash memory and a hard drive, okay, you can actually kind of see a little bit of green on this. But again, this has a disk on it that spins, just like a CD. It's kind of a big, thick disk, and that's what stores the memory. On flash drive, it's just stored on a card. And so flash memory, every computer you have also has flash memory. I think your phone has flash memory. Your cameras with those little SD cards, those are different type of flash memory. But basically, it's just storing the information on a magnetic card. Advantages of it's small, light, and portable, and relatively cheap. Disadvantages are it doesn't hold nearly as much as a hard drive would hold. So hard drives, right now you can get a terabyte hard drive for about $100, which is pretty amazing. But let me see if I can do all the zeros on that. Okay, so I don't want to get into too much nerdy detail here, but basically, back in the old days, when you had a floppy disk, that's kind of what I still compare things to. Those old floppy disks held just about 1.5 megabytes of information. That's the most you could store on those disks. If you go back to the really old days with the big floppies that were like that size, they were about half of that at most. And so these terabytes will hold roughly about 7,500 of those floppies. Okay, so I mean that's pretty amazing. Flash drives, they're running anywhere from, well, I think the biggest I've seen are 64 gigabytes on hard drives. So you can get so anyway, so for you can get a hard drive here, okay, that would basically hold right around 50, about 70 times as much as the biggest flash drive you can buy. So anyway, so in a nutshell, don't have to know all that stuff. All you have to know is this holds a lot more information than these can hold. But these are, again, are small, light, and portable. And so, so let's just take a minute and think about the advantages of a flash drive versus cloud storage. Okay, so here on the cloud we've got 25 gigs, well, or 7 on yours. Okay, so 7 gigs of free storage versus say an 8 gigabyte flash drive. Any advantages or disadvantages using one over the other?
Well, the flash you always have,
Good.
and you don't have to be
Good.
able to get
Yeah.
kind of internet service.
You don't have to connect to the internet to use your flash drive. You can plug it in and you're good to go. Don't have to download anything. It's right there and always available.
But those do.
Yeah, they break and they get lost. I mean, I can't tell you how many of these I've broke and how many of these I've lost. And sometimes not having a good backup on them. So there's nothing more frustrating than having some really important things I worked on and drop. I mean, one I did was on a plane. Had a flash drive plugged into the back of my laptop, sit on my lap, and that just caught like the seat in front of me and just bent like that. And there goes my flash drive. And almost no way of recovering all that information that's on there once you do that. So again, kind of pros and cons to both. If you're very careful and don't ever lose these, don't break them, then they're a great tool to use. But more and more, I started moving things to the cloud, and there's one other real big advantage with the cloud, besides the fact that it doesn't break and you can't lose it. Anybody, any guesses? Any smartphone users? Almost anything I put on the cloud, including SkyDrive, I can now access not only from a computer, but I can also pull up on my phone, on my iPad. I can do all those things kind of seamlessly. Where to transfer a file from this to my phone or my flash drive, at the minimum, I've got to email it, or I've got to stick it into a computer and then find a way to transfer that file directly over to it. Just a much more cumbersome process. So if you are a big smartphone / iPad user or some type of other tablet, most of the things you can put in the cloud, you can access from just about any device that you can get to the internet with. So, another disadvantage.
So SkyDrive is the same thing as cloud?
So SkyDrive is one way. Cloud computing is like the big picture. There's lots of different ways you can have things in the cloud, and SkyDrive is one of those ways.
SkyDrive, Google, all that stuff is in under.
Right. Different. Yeah, exactly. Different ways that you can get that you can do cloud computing and store information on the cloud. So up here, I just clicked on the Office link right up here at the top. That should pop you right in there.
So mine says 7 gigabytes free.
Yep.
So
And I think
that's probably way more than I.
that would be more than most of you ever use. Where you'll start to really suck up the memory or start using memory, if you start uploading a lot of pictures to it, especially if they're pictures that are taken off a nice digital camera, then you'll start to use up that 25 gigs. But I think they have, I'm trying to remember what their maximum upload was. It was somewhere around 50 megabytes per file, okay? So you'd have to upload about 2,050 meg files to fill up a gig. So to get to your 7, I mean, you'd be doing 14,000 fairly large size files to even close to filling it up. So I don't think any of you will probably fill up that 7 gigs. It could happen, but it's kind of tough because of the limitations they put on how you upload.
Just, do I have to fill this out to
What do you get? What do you get?
this, what's your birth year? I mean, I did, and once I filled in my birth year in the country, then it says something else, but.
So did you go through Live or through Outlook? Okay, so if you click on Office there, does it give you that? Yeah.
That's what I used to.
Okay.
But if I,
So
do you want me to put?
yeah, go ahead and put it in.
So you have to do that the first time.
Must be a first time setup. I didn't remember how to do it. Oh. Okay, so some of you can't get there because it's 7. Okay, we'll try that. We'll try that after our break again and just see. It looks like Microsoft might be having some type of server issue.
Can you pull the stop drive icon on this
Yeah, absolutely. If you wanted to put this as a shortcut on your desktop, there's a couple ways you could do it. I mean, you could just go to skydrive.com and it'll pop you there, but you could just drop this down a second. Yeah, you can take this and you can put it onto your desktop. Okay. And that'll take you there. Your whole server is? Okay. So again, if you want to put a shortcut to your desktop, you can just click on this icon right here, right next to the web address, and just click and drag it over, and it'll put it to your desktop.
When my text was telling us to save this on here, did you have to do every individual thing? You have to save, or I was, it was really fun.
Yeah.
It doesn't save on.
Yeah. So
Each thing in each folder.
right. So there's something you can do, and I don't think we can do it here, and I almost hate to. So
Well, the moral of the story is save it as you go.
well, so what one nice thing with SkyDrive and Dropbox will do the same thing. Dropbox is another cloud document, but they do have. Okay, so you got this 7 gigs. You got the 7 gig folder. They let you take 5 of that and sync it, and this is really a cool feature with one big drawback. Okay. So let me explain in a nutshell how this works, and then what you have to do to make it work. And that is, you can install SkyDrive on your computer and set up a synced folder, and anything you save in that folder will automatically go and be backed up on SkyDrive. And so it's kind of nice because then you don't have to physically take and move something up to SkyDrive. You don't have to do the whole transfer that I'll show you here in a minute. But you can actually just save it into that folder, and anything that's in there will get saved in the cloud. What's confused, Connie? Is it the website or my explanation? The whole thing. Okay. So that's a really nice feature. And I started using a similar service called Dropbox last year, and that's really what helped me quit using flash drives. Because as soon as I save something in that folder, I had it available on my computer, it was available on my smartphone, on my iPad, on any computer in the world. I had access to that file. Here's the downside. That takes a little bit of knowledge. Is our issue is, okay, so a normal person would go to My Documents, okay, and in there you would have, let's say, a folder called SkyDrive, okay, and that would be your sync folder. So anything you saved in that folder in My Documents would automatically get backed up. And I think probably everybody in here could create that folder in My Documents, and it would get synced. The problem is, this is not a real place. And we just talked about that in a minute. This is a place that's sitting over here on our server. And so these services don't like it when you're, it won't let you basically back up something that's on the cloud to a different cloud. So it's not going to let you take something that's over here on our servers and back it up this way. You actually have to take that and put that onto the hard drive on your computer. Okay, so it's not impossible to do. So basically what I did is I just went to my computer, and I'll make sure that we have some good notes on this if this is something you're interested in. And I'll talk to high school teachers about why you're going to definitely be interested in this. Okay, but I can come to the C drive on my computer, and again, you don't want to do it on these computers because once you put it on the C drive on these computers, it's going to stay on the C drive on that computer. It won't be available back at school. But on your school computer, when you get back next fall, you can come here to your C drive. You can come here and you can do a new folder, okay, and call it SkyDrive, and use that one now to back up to the cloud, okay. And so now you've got something. You're actually saving documents here on the hard drive here, but at the same time that you save it here, it's getting backed up to Microsoft servers, and again, you can go to any computer in the world and access those through Outlook.com. Or you can pull up your iPhone and access it through the smart SkyDrive app, or through your iPad, do the same thing. Okay. So
That's all we have to do is create folder.
no, there's a process where you would tell SkyDrive, I mean, I'll put the instructions out there, but say this is the folder that I want to see. Okay. So here's why. Well, any guesses why high school teachers might be interested in that next year?
Got it.
You got it.
If it's shared, then your students could access documents you want.
You're close, and that's actually something we're going to talk about here. But next year, the state's going to issue laptops to the high school teachers. And so in addition to your computer that you have in your classroom, now you're going to have a laptop. Could be a MacBook, it could be a Dell laptop, you have no idea what the device is going to be yet. But you're going to want to be able to get to your documents in both places, both your computer at school, plus the laptop, plus whatever device you have. And so that's why setting up a synced folder on SkyDrive is going to be crucial, because if it's a MacBook that we get, again, we don't know what we're getting yet, but if that's what it is, we don't have any way of backing that MacBook up to our servers like we've been doing. So we've got to find a different way of doing it. And I think SkyDrive is going to be the answer on that. So, so again, we'll be kind of, don't think you have to get all this right now. We'll be doing some more training for high school teachers and other teachers that are interested on how to start syncing your documents to SkyDrive instead of doing it to our servers here, because this is the way we're going to end up going one way or another. So, okay, but kind of just table that one for now. We'll give some more information on that. But that goes back to the question of you have to upload files one at a time. So right now, we're going to focus on just uploading files one at a time. But we'll definitely show you how to set it up so you can create a folder and synchronize everything on the folder back to SkyDrive. So, okay. So you've got your, so let's just take a minute and let's look at how to actually put a file up into SkyDrive. Okay. So for those of you that could log on, are you still having trouble, those of you that couldn't? And same thing over here, are you getting that same error message that you couldn't get into SkyDrive? Is it still giving you that error message, Janet? Tim? You're in, so it's Janet. Okay. Okay, so we'll work on that. So let's start with, again, you've got your, this is my SkyDrive, and you can, and this is probably where I would start, is before I added a file, I'd be thinking about my folder structure. And again, I've been using a different service from SkyDrive just because I started at first, and there hasn't been a lot of reason for me to move everything to SkyDrive versus what I've been doing. But I'd want to think about, okay, how do I want to set this up? What are the folders I want to have? So if I'm an elementary teacher, I might have a folder for my reading lessons. I might have a folder for my language lessons, one for math lessons, one for science. If I was a high school English teacher, and so I generally had one for English 10, English 11, because generally I was doing the same things in all my English 10 classes regardless of what period they were. You just want to think a little bit about how do you want to set up that folder? How do you want to set up your folders in SkyDrive? Okay, I'm going to create a folder here called PD classes. You can set up any folder structure you want to. Okay, and then I can click on that folder just like I'm on my computer, and I've got an empty folder here, but I can, just like I can on my computer, I can put folders inside of folders. I can create whatever structure I want to. I drive my wife nuts because I like folders inside of folders inside of folders. I really like keeping that whole, my whole computer life is very well organized. It's much more organized than my real life. Drives my wife nuts. She likes kind of having everything in one place. So, so anyway, whatever you're comfortable with, just know you can set up, it's called nested folders is what it means, but you can put in folders inside of folders inside of folders. So I'm going to do one more here. So I set up a general one called professional development classes, and then I'm going to do another one called teaching as well. Okay, so now I've got an empty folder, and I can click add files to upload a lot of files at once, or I can create a new document. So I can come here and click on add files. And I've got two options. I can either drag and drop files into it, or I can click on this icon and upload them from my computer. The process is really going to be about the same. So I just need to get the document saved over here. So I'm going to go back to my email real quick. I just got to download that class schedule I gave you and put it over here. Okay. Okay, so I can click here on select it from my computer. I save that to my desktop, so I just need to find the file on my desktop. Okay, teaching with text schedule, click open, and it uploaded it there. Okay, so now I have my teaching with tech schedule here. Okay, so again, now that it's there, it's up in the cloud. So again, any computer, if you happen to have an iPhone, under the App Store, there's an app called SkyDrive. And so I can basically log into that SkyDrive with the same information, and it will be there. Okay, so I just put it there. And under PD classes and teaching with tech, I've got that file right there. So that quick, I was able to access the document that I had on my computer and get it on my phone as well. Okay, so is there questions about how to either create folders in SkyDrive or how to upload files to it? Okay, if I don't have a file ready to go, and again, let's say I'm sitting somewhere where I don't have Microsoft Word or PowerPoint or whatever I want to use with me, I can just click on these buttons and create it right here online. So I can. I'm just going to do a test one quick since I don't have a good idea here. So notice now, and this is really kind of one of the amazing things about where cloud computing has gone is you've been able to save files to the cloud for a while, but Microsoft and again Google have taken it to another step where now I'm using Word, and notice it's not the full version of Word. I don't have all those same features, but I'm actually using this in the cloud. So in other words, this program isn't installed on my computer anywhere. It's installed on a server, again, somewhere with Microsoft, and I can do all the computing right there on a program that's not installed on my computer, but installed on in the cloud. So as I start typing and doing those things, it's not even really using my computer at all to do it.
If you type a document on SkyDrive, like you just said, and you want to save it to, do you want to do just the opposite, save it to your document?
Okay. Yep. Okay. So I'm just going to just show you a couple of the features that are here. Okay. You can even insert pictures into it just like you could from your okay. They have some limited clip art, but there's clip art there. So if I did
Scott, on that yellow line, it says something about Windows Live Sign Assistant. Do you do that if you want that?
If I'm back on my actual computer in my classroom, I would install it. If I'm on any other computer, I wouldn't do it because that's going to leave your personal information on a computer somewhere in the world. So, okay. Okay. You can even put tables into it. I mean, really some pretty nice functionality. Okay. You have some headings. Okay. So just some things you can play with. And as soon as I click save, and it's going to save it right there in the cloud. And then I can close it. Okay. And that file's there. Okay. So now it's there. And again, you'll have a couple of options, and we'll kind of come back to the sync one. But over here, notice all the things you can do with that file. So you can edit it in the browser. That's what we just did. You can click open it in Word. And if you do have Word installed on your computer, it'll launch Word and actually open that file up. Now this is kind of an interesting thing, because what it will do, it's going to ask me for my credentials. So again, because we're up on Microsoft's server, we're going to use our whole email address with this. And then I'm getting a little yellow bar. The reason this yellow bar is here is because I pulled something off the internet, and this is something Microsoft and other companies started to be really careful with. Is if you're going to open or say something from the internet, they want to make sure that you know what it is and you know what you're doing with it, or else it's an easy way to contract a virus on your computer. So I'm going to click on Enable Editing. Okay, so now do you see the difference up here with all the toolbars? When I was back on the cloud, we had Home, we had View, we had Insert. So we had this tab, and this tab, and we were missing all these other ones. So this is me on my computer using the fully installed version of Word versus, let's switch over to this one so I mess things up. Okay, so this is the web view of it. Okay, so just again, you have 4 tabs here with this one, with a pretty limited. I mean, you can still definitely create documents. You can really do some pretty basic things with it, or you have the full version of Word. Okay, so the interesting thing is, okay, I have this now saved. But when I click on File and Save, any guesses where it's going to save that document to? I pulled it off of the cloud. Okay. So basically I said, I was in the cloud, I said, okay, I want to work on this document in Word. So I pulled it off of the cloud, and now it's putting basically a temporary version of that file into the RAM memory on my computer. But when I click save, where do you think Word is going to save that to? Put it in My Documents or back to the cloud? Any guesses? Good, back to the cloud. So that's kind of an interesting feature, is I pulled that document off and puts it in again on the flash memory in my computer. So it's just kind of sitting there. But when I click save now, it's actually saving it right back to the cloud. Okay. If I want to save it to my computer, then I go to File and Save As. And then notice right here when I do the File Save As, it's got a little different icon here. And it tells me it's saving here on this d.docs.live.net, which tells me it's on the cloud. But I could put it back here in my documents and save it there. Okay. So what might be a drawback of putting that into my documents now? How many versions of it am I going to have then? 2. I don't know if anybody's ever run into that with flash drives and those kinds of things. I run into it still. I mean, as careful as I try to be with having multiple versions of the same document, I'm trying to say, okay, which is my most up-to-date one, which is the one I really want to use. I pull up one and say, oh, that's not the changes I made, so I have to go back and see where I found that. And another one of those kind of drawbacks to using flash drives is you might have a copy of it on your computer and a different copy on your flash drive, and trying to keep those in sync or up to date can be a challenge. Or if I just save it back to the cloud, again, I've still got access to it from any computer I want to access it from, as long as I can get to the internet on it. So I'm not saying you have to do it that way, but just good to know pros and cons to saving things. Okay, so I can close that. Come back to the web. Okay. So far, basically we've created a folder, and right here we've got our cookie crumbs that it can kind of take me back. So I've got my SkyDrive, then I've got a folder called PD classes, and a teaching with tech folder inside of that one. So basically what we did is we went to SkyDrive, I created a folder called teaching with tech, and then I uploaded one document to it, and then did the did a new document to right from the cloud to put into it. Okay. So some other things that you can do, again, really nice things with the cloud that you don't necessarily have with a flash drive, is there's a version history there, and it'll actually show you old versions of your document. And so if you made a change and you didn't want it to be there, if you accidentally deleted something and then you saved it, you can actually go back and pull up your previous version of it and use that one instead. Okay? It's not a function that you generally have available on a flash drive. Okay, so I've got a current version. This is what my current version looks like with my heading and the map, or my first version of it, which is when I very first started, that doesn't have anything in it. Okay, let's just show you maybe again how that could look. So let's say I edit this. Okay, let's say I delete my map and save it. Okay, so now if I click on that, go to previous versions, I should see 3 versions of it now under version history. Okay, so I have my current version, which is the one with the map deleted. I have the version with the map in it, and then my original one. So I said, oh, I didn't want to delete that map. I need to go back and use the one with the map in it. I can pop that one up. I can click on restore, and that'll make that the current version. Or I could download it and start working on it in Word. Okay.
Where do you find the version history?
Should be, okay, so if you come to right there, teaching with tech, and then if you check on the box here on the left, it should pop up over there on the right. See that? Okay. So some other options, you can download it. There's a download link. There's a move to or a copy to. So again, you can create a different copy of that and put it into a different folder. So if I've got, let's say I did want to have an, English 10 on the first hour and English 10 on the second hour, and keep those folders separate. I can create one document and copy it over to those other classes. You can rename it, you can delete it, or you can embed it. Anybody familiar with the term embed? Okay, it's a way you can put it into your web page. And so you've created it here, but you click on generate, and then it'll give you a link so that if you are using your Novus web page or My Big Campus web page, that's a lie, you can't do this in My Big Campus. So if you're using your Novus web page, then you can copy and paste that in, and students can go to your Novus web page and actually see that document right inside the web page. So just kind of file that in the back of your mind. We may use that later, okay? And you should have one more really cool feature, and this is one that I've been using, is to share it. Okay, so a couple ways that you can share that. You can just send it in an email. So if you already know the email of the person you want to send it to, you can type that in there. You can put in a note, and you can even give them the ability, if you want to collaborate, to work on it together. You can say they can edit it. Okay, and if you need additional security, you can ask people to sign in before they edit it. So that way, having a link wouldn't be enough, but they actually have to sign in with that email address and password in the live to be able to edit it. Okay, so that's one option, is just to email it to folks. Okay. Don't know how much application this has with school, but you can link it back to your Facebook and a Twitter account or a LinkedIn account and share it that way. But one of the really useful things you can do is get a link to that document. Okay, and so again, because you're doing cloud computing and this file's up there on the web somewhere, then you can get a link so that anybody in the world can actually click on that link and see that document. Or if you just want to share it with a specific group or class, then you can do that. So, and again, you've got options so that only people with a link can see it. So that's a view only mode. And there's an address you can use. And then this is kind of a nice thing. Notice how long that address is going across. But they have a little button here where you can shorten that. I just use that address. I could copy and paste that. Okay. If you want people to be able to edit it, then it's got a link so people can edit it. Or you can put it on public. And really the only difference with public and the view only is that they could actually search for that somewhere on the internet and possibly find it. So they could do a Google search and maybe find that on the internet. Okay. Absolutely. Yep. So your students, you can put it out there, and your students could actually log onto the computer, and they could go in and they could start working on the same PowerPoint together, same Word document together, same Excel document together. They could collaborate together on that same document. Okay, feels like I've gone super fast. Does it feel that way to you? Yes. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to go a little bit early. We might throw in 2 breaks, but let's just take like a 5-minute break, kind of give our brains a chance to digest that. I can see if I can help a couple people out getting logged on, and then we'll come back with questions and comments about that. Again, we'll do a lot of review with this, and then I'll show you how you can start using these tools with some other ones to really make these things easily accessible for your classes. Okay, let's go and let's just go to 25 after. We'll do a 10-minute break, and then come back to the group, and I'll start taking some questions.
So when will we get back
Files, so then you have to create a new folder and then put the files in those
That's a good question.
for, so you, when, like I'm a nester like you are, and so I wanted to be able to drag folders, but it wouldn't let you drag.
I don't know if it was. Yeah, you can move it.
So I can move, a folder from my documents into here, a whole folder with all the documents.
Oh, I'm with you now. So upload a whole folder. is what you're
Right,
saying. No, you couldn't upload a whole folder.
Okay.
Yeah. Yep. So you'd have to create the folder structure and then you can move all the documents.
inside it, and then create that. The other thing is,
Let me just want to make a couple notes on the things people ask. So, our district. The state's original plan. Our question back is, you have to get one high school or three kids. Also,
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really expensive. So it's the 22nd and 23rd. Well, it's one of those two. And so we're doing a full phase to get everybody in. We'll go to either one of the other. Yes. You still have the same system. All the Western libraries. One entry.
thank you very much.
Oh, off the network? Is you have a network? Yeah, I would either that or else I would just create. It's really not. Yeah. So what would happen is, right, what it's looking for, basically, it's a program called mesh. So mesh is going to look for it. And so when you finish there, the file gets when they re-image it, that folder's gone. So it's not ready. Yeah. That's what I'm I think it's going to be these facts.
He will pop out.
That's a great question. Can I just have a little bit of question? Yeah.
You know. My good. There you go. Yeah.
Ask me that again, everybody said. Look it up one more time. Okay, I think that's close to our 10 minutes. I had a couple of questions come up during the break, and so I'm going to try to address those questions back to everybody. So I'm going to start with the least technical one. Say the technical ones when we've got everybody all the way back. But so we just had a really interesting question that I don't even know if I have a good answer on. But the question came about what happens to the, or I guess what are the legal and ethical implications when you could be working on a document at home on a home computer and at work on a work computer and on an iPad that maybe a district one could be a home one person. So it definitely creates a blended situation when you're using home computers to work on documents and school computers. So let me just I'll address it the best way I know how, but I'm not a lawyer, but I'll give you at least with my little limited understanding of maybe some implications. So let me start with this. There's a legal concept called work product, and work product means that any documents that you create in the scope of your employment belong to your employer. Okay, so any work that you create in the scope of your employment belongs to your employer. So then it really comes down to the question, well, what's the scope of your employment? And whether does that scope extend to, let's say, and I mean, we're all teachers, we've been there. So when I would go home and work and create all these lesson plans, in fact, let me give a good example. When I was, my last 3 years of teaching at Shelley High School, the counselors came to me and said, Scott, we need a class to dump kids in. That was his exact words. So we don't have enough classes. What dump class can you create for kids? And I said, well, I'm certified, besides English, I can teach English and Japanese. Humanities and Japanese. He said, well, what's humanities? So I gave him an explanation of humanities. He's like, I think that might work. So yeah, we just need somewhere to dump kids, so you teach humanities. So I never taught humanities. I had a humanities endorsement because I was an English major. I had a Japanese foreign language, and I had just a couple of art classes. It was enough to get the endorsement on my certificate, and I really never taken a true humanities class. I was certified to teach it, but I never taken a humanities class, so there's been some irony for you. So I spent that summer, I took an online class. I think I've got to have some concept, and I put in, literally hundreds of hours to try to create an engaging but educational class for those kids. Taught for 3 years, then left in Hillcrest. So all those lesson plans that I created, all the portfolios I put together, all that stuff. Question is, did it belong to me or did it belong to the Shelley School District? I don't know. There's my answers. I don't know. Because I did a ton of it on my own. I did a ton of it in the summer when I wasn't paid to do it. I did a ton of it at home on my own computers. At the same time, I was using it, all that stuff that I created in the course of my employment as a teacher that I was paid to teach the classes. I think it'd be a really interesting legal question. But that's kind of the concept is, if you create something in the scope of your employment, technically it belongs, legally it belongs to the district. And so I would say anything you create on a school computer during your contract hours absolutely belongs to the district. There's no question about that. It gets a little bit more iffy when you now extend that out to working at home, especially on a home computer. And when you save files to SkyDrive, again, they're not on a district server. Those are up on Microsoft servers. The district doesn't really have any. I don't think we have any legal right to those files that are stored up there. But when they are on a district computer, then again, it becomes district property. Those become searchable and those kinds of things. So it's definitely something you want to be, I think, aware of, if not careful of, with your things. So again, I'll just go back to me personally. The reason why I have a district SkyDrive, and then I went ahead and signed up for my own SkyDrive is for that reason. Again, with let's say church responsibilities, I have a lot of church stuff that I don't really like keeping on a school computer. I think it's definitely a gray area. And so rather than having, either confidential or those kinds of things from a church responsibility here on school computers, I keep those completely separated out so that the two don't play with each other. And so I think that there's some good advice in that if you're working on truly personal things, I would set up a separate cloud and use it separately. The nice thing is, most of you probably have a personal email address, I would assume, because everybody has a personal email address. And you can go in and you can go to live.com, and you can use pretty much any personal email address you have and sign up for a live.com account with that. So basically, when I go to live.com, I use my Scott Wolfson at Gmail, so I'm using a Gmail account, but I'm going into Live and using Word and Excel and PowerPoint and all those things for my personal stuff that way. So, I don't know if that answered your question, if it confused it even more, but it's definitely something I think to be aware of and even more careful of, because that's the reality is teachers have always, I don't know very many teachers that drew that line that at 4 o'clock they go home and they don't work on anything in school. We've always blended that personal and professional life together. It's the nature of the beast. And now when it comes to computing, having all those files accessible 24/7, it definitely kind of muddies the waters even more. So does that help? I don't know that. I think I confused myself more than anything. So, but definitely, I would just like with Facebook and those things, I would just really try to keep a line, draw that line between your personal documents, your Okay, so some more technical questions that came up. Debbie asked if I have an entire folder on my computer and I want to upload that to SkyDrive, can I upload that whole file? And the short answer is no. And of course, there's always a longer answer that's a yes if you know how to do it. But basically, strictly speaking, if I want to just upload a folder to here, you can't do it. So what you'd want to do is you want to create your folder here, and then by clicking on the new folder, and then you can upload all those files that are in that folder into it. Okay, so you can't just recreate your folder structure that you have on your computer and mirror it here, unless you do what that we talked about earlier. Yes, unless you use that sync function. Yeah. And so again, come fall, once we're a little, there's just really no sense in teaching you how to do it here in a lab because it's not going to work in a lab. It's something we really have to teach you how to do on your own computer. So once you get back to fall and teacher, you're back on your rebuilt computers. It'll have Office 2010 on them and all those things. Then we can do like the webinar type of thing and show people how to set up that sync if that's something you're interested in doing. But for now, there's just not much sense in showing you how to do it in the lab because you're not on your computer. But again, once you're there, then you'll be able to see those folders and the whole structure should come over. But for now, you'll want to create all your folders here by doing the new folder option and then upload multiple files into that folder. Okay?
The purpose of backing up our files to the flash drive this summer, is that because they're planning on losing our documents or just for the good case?
Honestly, the chance of losing those is, I would say, very low. Again, the structure we have in place is all of your files are saved to the server, and Lane, again, he backs it up to a hard drive every day, and at the end of the week, he brings over 5 hard drives to my office over there that's a fireproof safe, sticks them in there, and then he cycles through every month and replenishes them. So everything is backed up 9 days from Sunday, but just in the case, they wanted to make sure we have those. If you didn't do it, I really feel confident that 99.999% chance that your files will completely be able to go back and follow. Anytime you're wiping out a hard drive and starting over, or a computer and starting over, it just gives us all a bit of anxiety. So, okay, so that was uploading us that, and then Lisa asked about uploading to a specific. No, it wasn't Lisa, but a few people. Lisa's got a question too, but a few people asked about uploading to a specific folder. So here I am in my PD classes. Okay, let me go back here to SkyDrive. Okay, so if I come here and I click on add files, and then I upload, okay, let me just grab a file here. That's not going to be a good one. Let's do this one. Okay. Then it's just going to put it right here where I am. So I wasn't in any specific folder, so when it uploads it, then it's just going to put it out here basically in a random place or in the home drive of my SkyDrive. If I wanted that to go into my documents folder or my PD classes, I actually need to click inside that folder first and then click on upload it. Okay, so PD classes and add a file. And now if I do that one-to-one, it's going to put it inside of my PD classes folder. Okay. Now, if I happen to put one in the wrong place and I want to move it, then again, I can just come here, I can check on it and tell it to move it and tell it where I want that to go. Okay. Now this one should give me a little bit of a pop-up. And this is kind of nice. I didn't used to do this. So basically, I already had that file in there called one-to-one narrative, and now I'm moving basically a file with the same name on top of it. So I've got 2 files with the same name going into the same folder. So it's saying you want to replace it or keep both. Okay. So again, it depends. In this case, it's a PDF file. I can just replace it, and now I'm only going to have 1 copy in there. But sometimes, if I have a document set up and I was like, I just want to make a few changes to it, but keep the original and have the new one, then I can say keep both. It'll give it a new name. So now when I come into PD classes, notice I've got one-to-one narrative 1 and 2. And if I want to change the name on that, then I can just check on it, tell it to rename it, and give it a new name. Okay. So I was just doing that last night. Had a schedule for one thing in January. It's like, okay, I want to keep that same template, but I need to update it to May. So I just did the move, renamed it 1 January and 1 May, and I was good to go. So.
And that's just on SkyDrive.
Yeah, that's just on.
So.
Well, if you did the same thing on your computer, you almost get, you generally get one that says copy of,
Yeah.
and then so it's in, you can right click on it and then rename it.
So then possibly, will that sync, is that?
Okay.
Or no?
So again, once you get that sync folder set up, then yeah, that will sync back to SkyDrive. Okay. So let's go back and ask me your question again, Lisa, that you asked at the break. Do you remember what it was?
So I say perhaps I'm working on my class syllabus on my iPad at home.
Okay.
And it's access through SkyDrive.
Right.
But then I'm saying, okay, I need to go and I want to work on it at my computer.
Right.
And I go to SkyDrive, access it, it's the same document. Correct.
Okay. So this is specific to an iPad. So let me.
Or computer, whichever
Okay.
you want. I'm just
Okay.
trying to draw.
Okay, so let's just talk about those for a second, okay? So let's say you run another computer, okay? Let's say I take my family to a trip to Salt Lake. I've got some time, and so I pop up my laptop, and I want to get to SkyDrive. So I go to Outlook.com, log in, go to SkyDrive. I open up that document, I edit it, and save it back. Then it's saved on that cloud, and again, any computer you go to, you'll see that version. Okay. Your iPad gets a little bit trickier.
Well, I was just using that as an example of something that,
Yeah.
laptop or whatever.
Yep. So SkyDrive, for the app for SkyDrive, so if you're using it again on an Android tablet or an Android phone or your iPhone or your iPad, when you pop up that document, it's a read only. So you can basically pop that open and you can see all the documents. But then if you edit it on there, basically you have to open it up in another program. There's a couple different programs you can use. But at that point, that's now saved physically on your iPad, and you have to send it back up to SkyDrive to get it saved there.
So, a couple more steps.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So how comfortable are we feeling with SkyDrive? What questions are still out there with it? Again, chances are somebody else has the same questions, so please, if you've got one, holler out at me.
It would be really nice to have
This is
a hard copy.
a hard copy.
ABC.
Okay, I'll see. I haven't seen, SkyDrive is fairly new, so I'll have to dig around and see if they have any kind of documentation on using it. But when we do, we'll get that posted for you. So, okay. Yes.
I know that Joanne in Sanford, she uses this in shared documents so that
Excellent.
kids access
Yep.
that. So
Yeah.
she didn't elaborate on what she's using and what her kids are using. So
Yeah. And that's where we kind of have to take it a chunk at a time to get our building blocks in place. But by Thursday, you'll see how you can go into, I think My Big Campus is probably the best. You can go to My Big Campus, and just like we hit that share link, you can put that link right on My Big Campus, and kids can click on it and pop open that document. And there's a lot of functionality. We kind of touched on just the basics of how you would do that, but everything, hopefully by Thursday, everything's kind of coming together in one big picture on how all these different tools we're talking about work together. Okay, so key things to know for SkyDrive right now. Number one is just how to get there. So you access it through Outlook.com with your district email address and password. Okay. And so when you first log into Outlook.com, you'll come to your mail page. Okay. And so to hit SkyDrive, you have this link to Office here. So notice there's even a few options here we didn't talk about. There's a little drop down there. You can look at your recent documents, your documents, groups, okay, or you can pop open new ones right there. Okay, I'm just going to click on your documents, and that's going to take us right into SkyDrive. Okay, so that's how you get there, and just know you can create Word, Excel, and PowerPoint. Let's just take a quick look at PowerPoint while we're here. Okay, I'm going to go with that title. Okay, so again, you're not going to have the same, you're not going to have all the features that you have if if you actually have PowerPoint installed on your computer. But you're gonna have enough to get the job done. So you've got templates that you can use here. Okay. So you go and pick out whichever template you like. Okay. Close that again. Okay. And again, and honestly, if you're not comfortable with PowerPoint or Word, these really aren't a bad way to get started because you're really starting with the most basic functions. So rather than getting lost in a lot of functions that you won't need until you have a good, solid understanding of it, it's a really nice kind of basic understanding. So even as maybe upper elementary and middle school teachers, if you are in a situation where you start teaching students how to use Word or PowerPoint, this is a great way to start with them because, again, you're not dealing with this many applications or this many functions. You're just dealing with the basic handful you need to get started. Okay, so you can go in and you can add your titles under your new slide option. You still got those same templates with different layouts for slides. Okay. You can still insert pictures, clip art, and they even have the smart art function, which is pretty nice for being a web-based version. That's really pretty nice that they have that level of functionality with it. I don't know if you've used smart art or not, but if you do anything with graphic organizers at all in your classes, smart art is just a great tool that came out in, I think it was Office 2007 when that first rolled out, but it's a great tool for diagrams and graphic organizers and those kinds of things. Okay. Okay, you can do the view slideshow right there. Okay, I'll tap through it. Not that we have anything there, but. Okay, and same thing, just works so you can go ahead and you can do a save on that. It saves it right to the cloud. Okay, there's a share option just like we had before, where you can get those same things. You can send it in an email. You can post it to Facebook, LinkedIn, or Twitter. You can get a link to share with your classes. So, and that's really, I think, one of the huge benefits with cloud computing versus, again, a flash drive. In addition to the accessibility and the security, but one of the great things is it's out there for everybody. So, because it's out there on the web, you can really share that with your class. They have access to it at home from their home computers. They have access to it from the lab. Anywhere they go that they can hit the internet, they've got access to see it.
Scott, I have a question.
Yes.
I think you didn't already answer this.
No, you're fine.
So I've done a lot of my work at home, and
Okay.
so what is the easiest way to get it to my school computer to get it on here? How do I
Oh, okay. So
get that?
that's great. Let's talk about that process. Okay. So she has files at home that are saved on her home computer that she wants to put to SkyDrive. So does she need to take them to her school computer to get them to SkyDrive? No. Just needs to. Yep. So as long as you've got internet access at home, just go to outlook.com from your home computer and start uploading it to the home computer. Yep. Yep. So it's a really great way. So if you do have, and again, that's absolutely where I was, even 5, 6 years ago, is I had files on my home computer, I had them on this flash drive and that flash drive on my school computer. I had files just all over the place. And now I really have one central place that I can put them in one place, and then it doesn't matter which device I'm on, I can pull those up and access them.
So if you're on Outlook.com, your home computer is just automatically.
So Outlook.com is just a website. So as long as you can get to the internet, you can go to Outlook.com, and then you can upload files from whatever computer you're on and put them up in the cloud. Put them onto Outlook, onto SkyDrive. Good. Thank you for asking those questions. Those are great questions just to help us get that process in mind of how this could work. Okay. Anyone else?
Is it just the district that's sending the is free? Or is that
No, that's across the whole world. Anybody that So if you were to go right now with a personal email address and sign up for live.com, you get another 7 gigs. So every email address you sign up for, you have 7 more gigs of storage. They're all pockets. I mean, but I have 7 gigs here, and 7 gigs here, and 7 gigs there. So. Okay. Anyone else? And again, another nice thing, I can have a question, Debbie, so I'll come back to you in a second, but I don't know how many of you have, let's say, a Mac computer, but if you happen to use like a Mac at home and a PC at work, that can create problems too, in 2 different formats. So again, it's, here you can access, because it's going through the web, it doesn't care what computer you're on, so you can access it through a Mac computer, through your PC, really through any device, as long as you can hit the internet, you can pull up those files. Debbie, did you have?
Well, I was just wondering, it came up here when I was doing the PowerPoint thing, it said, if you want to, install a sign-in assistant, is that something that we should think about?
So for that sign-in assistant, if you're still seeing that, again, I would go and install it when I'm on my computer in my classroom. I wouldn't do that because that'll just kind of keep your username and possibly your password on that computer. But I wouldn't do it on any other computer. So if you get that anywhere else besides your either your home computer or your classroom computer, I would not use the sign-in assistant. It's just kind of leaving cookie tracks with your personal information somewhere in that computer's memory. On these computers, it's probably not a huge deal, but the next time somebody comes in and pops up with that, it could pop up with your username and possibly password for them to log in and see your documents. So, okay. I haven't messed a whole lot with photos. My wife is the digital photographer in there. But the nice thing is, kind of like there's other sites that do this. I think one of the first ones was, there was Picasa and Flickr that kind of do the same thing. But again, Microsoft is a master of taking what other people do and making it better. That's kind of their business model. So you can upload your digital files here, create albums, and then have those out that you can share those with, with your friends and family across the country. So, and the only caution I put with it is, well, 2, I guess. Again, one, if I'm putting up personal pictures, I would really encourage you to think about keeping a separate SkyDrive, a separate live account for personal things. And then 2, and it kind of goes back to 1, but you will fill up 7 gigs, not in a hurry, but it will fill up with pictures, especially if you have a nice digital camera. Those tend to be fairly large pictures, and that's when things can fill up kind of surprisingly fast. So I think my wife, she got a decent camera. She got like a 16 gig SD card, and it's getting filled up. And so 16, and we've got 7 on there, so she would be able to get that whole SD card up on there. But if you start using it and you like it, it's not that expensive. I don't know. Everything goes expensive on a teacher salary, I know, but it's somewhere like $25 a year that you can bump that up to 50 gigs of storage, something like that. So it's cheaper than buying a flash drive every year like I was doing before, when I kept breaking them and losing them. So, okay. So we're not going to leave SkyDrive completely, but we're going to take a break from it. But again, we'll be coming back to it, revisiting it, answering questions, and then showing how it integrates with the other tools we'll talk about. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at another cloud option for us, and that is MyBigCampus. Okay, so some of you are probably already familiar with MyBigCampus. For some of you, it might be brand new. For some, it might be somewhere in the middle. But we get to MyBigCampus just from mybigcampus.com, or from, if you're on your homepage is a school web page. We have a link to it here under the teacher portal. So under teacher portal and MyBigCampus. Okay. So has anybody never signed in? And it's okay, you're not going to get in trouble, but has anybody never signed into MyBigCampus? Okay, and then we'll have to figure out on yours. This might be one you have to kind of watch and type back in. Okay, so to sign in or to log into MyBigCampus, you just click the login. You do not have to do the sign up, hopefully. Okay, every time I do this class, though, I get a few people that aren't quite there for one reason or another. And so this is more like an application that is from the district. So in this case, you don't need your full email address, you just need your username. So just the first 7 letters of your email address, everything before the @ symbol. Your district password, and then the part that most people forget or miss is you need to put your school in, okay? And the reason for that is this is really a blend between our district information and then My Big Campus. We'll talk about what that is. But there's schools all over the country that use My Big Campus. So you need to actually type in the name of your school so it knows where to find your username and password. So you can just come in here and start typing the name. It will pop up with a list of schools, and you need to click on your school. Okay? Now once you do that, that's great when the teacher can get into it. Is anybody else getting that? Hitting the sign up page? Okay, I logged in on that second page and it kicked me in, so not sure why it was hitting that second page. Okay, so hopefully everybody can get into a page that will look different from mine. But you're at least logged in. Anybody not able? Everybody else is able to log in? Excellent. Okay, so let me just start with what My Big Campus is. I don't really care about whole networks, so we can erase that. Okay. So My Big Campus is a social network, and I hope people are fairly familiar with what social networks are. Let me throw out one other kind of term here and put those in context with each other. Okay. So, I don't know if anybody remembers 2 years ago we brought in that she was a female doctor something from somewhere. Anyway, she was our technology speaker that came and talked about all the cool web tools that are out there. She's really talking about what's commonly referred to as Web 2.0. And the guy who actually, not Al Gore, but the guy who is actually one of the true founders of the internet, hates the term Web 2.0 because it was always what he envisioned for what the internet should be. It just took us 20 years to get there. But basically, when computers first started talking to each other through this World Wide Web, it was one-way communications. In other words, you would access a web page and you would get information from that web page. If you want a classic example of a Web 1.0 application, you don't have to go any farther than our district web page. Okay, so how much opportunity as a viewer of this web page do you have to communicate back or collaborate with the school district? Hardly any. There's one little thing here where if you click this hyperlink, it'll pop open your email program, and if you did it right now, it wouldn't work because you don't have an email program installed on your computers, but basically to email Dr. Shackett. That's not really Web 2.0. So really, this is a classic 1.0 web application where we are sending out a ton of information to you, but we really aren't getting anything back from our viewers. Okay. If you contrast that with Facebook, okay, for those of you that have Facebook accounts, which probably a lot of us do, Facebook is a collaborative experience. So you're posting information there, but at the same time, friends are posting things, you're seeing each other's posts, you're communicating back and forth. You're liking, what they said or what their pictures are. It's really a collaborative, communicative experience on Facebook. Another good example, YouTube. Okay, YouTube videos aren't. YouTube didn't go and post a site and say, "Hey, here's all these videos you should check out." YouTube created an opportunity for billions of people in the world to take their own videos and upload and share them there. So really, that's probably the best word I can use. Is Web 2.0 is there to share. Okay, share information back and forth. And it's not even, I wouldn't even say it's a two-way communication. I mean, it's literally, YouTube, it's a billion-person collaborative communicative experience. Facebook, however many friends you have on Facebook, I mean, you can have that communication and sharing with all those people. Okay, so my big campus came as a product from our filter. Because they recognized teachers need a way to have a collaborative sharing experience with their students, a social network with their students. But we're not sure that opening up Facebook is the right way to do it. Okay? So what would be maybe some concerns or some things to think about with using Facebook as a social network with your students? And there's definitely there's some pros to it and there's some cons to it, like everything. So any pros or cons with using Facebook as a way to communicate with your students and families? Okay, what are the lawsuits in reference to?
There have been a couple of charges of inappropriate behavior with a underage person.
Good. Okay. Good. So that communication, it could absolutely lead to inappropriate communication between teachers and students. Okay.
I don't think students need to be a part of your personal life.
Excellent. So just like we were talking about before, it's that line between personal and professional. Okay. I don't know if anybody's tried this. I happen to try to create 2 Facebook accounts. I have my personal one that started first, and then I said, you know what? I really think we need to be moving in Web 2.0 as a district, so I created a web page for the district using Facebook. Okay. Well, it won't let me do it as the district. I have to be an individual to create it, and I didn't want to put it on my personal one, so I tried to create a separate profile of Facebook using my district email address. So I've got personal friends that are trying to friend me through the district one, and somehow I've seen that. And anyway, it's a mess. It's just a complete mess. And so trying to keep those 2 worlds separate, even in Facebook, is not an easy chore. And so, and again, and that's where a lot of, it's created this really interesting legal situation where teachers are posting personal things on Facebook, but because they friended students, their students are now exposed to a personal life that I don't think the teacher necessarily wanted them exposed to. The students' parents certainly didn't want them exposed to it, whether it's teachers partying or drinking or all those things that are perfectly acceptable in a personal life, but not in a professional one. So it's created a lot of issues that way. Anything else you can think with it? Any other concerns with using Facebook and students? Any pros to it?
They're all on.
Yeah, I mean, that's just it. As students, it happens to be there. And so that if there's a social network out there that most people belong to, it's going to be Facebook. And so that's definitely a strength. The other thing is it's a multi-billion-dollar company again, so it's got a lot of tools and resources that aren't easily for a district or as a school for us to develop and promote on our own. Okay. But our filter recognized this and said, okay, rather than trying to open up Facebook and promote that, what if we created our own social network that's really geared for teachers and students to be a safe way to collaborate with each other and really try to bring the educational aspect or the educational advantages of Facebook into an experience without opening up Facebook the whole way. So that's where my big campus came from. So it's provided by Lightspeed, who does our filter. And we'll spend some time tomorrow talking about the filter and why it's there. Okay. But as a way to promote Web 2.0 and to create a social network for our district. And I've loved it because we've done classes using it. We've done book studies using it. Last summer, it was kind of a first pilot project. We did that district-wide book study of total instructional alignment. We had about 30 teachers that joined up. So now we have 30 teachers from all different schools over the summer reading a book and sharing their thoughts with each other on my big campus about total instructional alignment and how it's working in their school and those things. So it's really a nice way the teachers can actually collaborate among ourselves as professionals with the teacher group, and then we can also create groups and collaborate with our students. And to a limited degree, we can open it up with our parents as well. Okay. So here's Web 1.0, and here's Web 2.0. Okay. So the first thing you see when you log in is the activity page, and that is really My Big Campus's version of a Facebook wall. And so basically everything I see on my page, on this activity page, are posts that come from people that I have some type of relationship with. Okay, this person, I have no idea who she is, but I happen to belong to a group where I'm going to get officially trained on My Big Campus. You guys are taking this class about 2 weeks early, but I'm going to get officially trained with My Big Campus. So is Cliff Wade, who works in the tech center, so we really know all the ins and outs of it. So as part of that coaching experience, I'm part of a group where, with again teachers across the country that are going through the same coaching training, we can collaborate and share things back and forth. Okay, so that's why I have this Ms. Collins Brown's things posted on my page. If we scroll down, okay, and notice pretty up to the minute things. I mean, these posts are coming, it says less than a minute ago, but I've got this whole wall of posts from different groups that I'm a part of. If I go down farther, okay, oh, that's interesting. I had something show up on Twitter on my page. That's kind of funny. I didn't think about that. I'll have to come back and show you that here in a second. Okay, and then all the way down at the bottom, I can go down and pull up more activity and those kinds of things. Okay, so that's the first page you log into is your activity page, and just like Facebook, you can post your own experience on what's happening right now on your page. So you can say, sitting right here in the best professional development ever at the Tech Lab Center, and post that for people to see. Okay, a couple of options with your posts. You got to check, and so you can, and this is, I mean, right here, you can already see that this is really an educational approach to a Facebook type of experience, because you can check whether you want students to be able to see your post or uncheck it, and then students will never be able to see it. So just kind of a real nice, yeah, this is only for teachers or for other professionals, or this is out there for everybody to see. Okay, and then EduTalk, I'll come back and I'll talk about EduTalk in just a minute. So kind of hold on to that thought in the back of your mind for a second. Okay. Well, maybe I'll go there right now. So that's the activity page. Any questions on that? So again, you can post or see other people's posts there.
I don't have those little checkbox options. Is that
You don't?
because I haven't ever really used it before? Like I guess I did, and that's it.
So you don't have these right here?
I do not.
If you click in the box, do they pop up?
If I start typing.
Okay. Hold on to that thought. I'm going to have you post a message. And they're there. Okay. Good. So this is probably a good time to stop and talk about contrast as well. Again, Lightspeed is our filter. It's a good company. I've been happy with them. I'm always happy with the filter, but I mean, it's a good company. It's not Facebook. So you have a multi-billion-dollar company with all the support features that Facebook has, and then we have My Big Campus, and the reality is it gets buggy sometimes. So all in all, I'm really happy with it. I think it's a good experience, and the pros far outweigh the cons with it. But the cons are it gets to be a little bit buggy. So you might see some things like that where you may not have those options. Sometimes you have to log in, log out. It's not going to work perfectly 100% of the time. I'll just give you that little disclaimer right up front.
So anyone posting, like Tracy's obviously posting something, she's in my school, but I'm going to see everything she
No,
posts.
you're only going to see things with people that you have a relationship with, okay? And so I'll talk about different ways.
And that's everybody in our school.
No, right now you don't have that relationship with people in your school, but I'll show you how you can get there, okay? That's a great question. So there's really two ways that you can have a relationship with somebody else in My Big Campus. Okay, and I'll show you what those are here. You know, let's give me just a minute on those if you would. Okay. Okay, EduTalk. EduTalk is integrated with Twitter. So does anybody have a Twitter account or use Twitter at all? Nobody tweets? I'll just leave it alone then. So Twitter is a social network that came about from texting. And so basically the idea was rather than having to log into a computer and to post your status, you should be able to text your status with a short message. So you're limited to those like 165 characters and update that way. So, I mean, I'm familiar enough with it that I have a Twitter account, but I hardly ever use it. Because I really don't ever think I have anything that important to say. But if you watch ESPN, there's plenty of people out there that, you know, fans like to text their comments about a game on ESPN, or more famously, you know, athletes get on and they text something in the middle of a bad game and make headlines that way. So, but that's basically the point, is that you can send short messages to update your status and tell the world what you're doing. Okay.
That's anybody.
No, so Twitter, again, comes back to that relationship idea. And so with Twitter, and it really works the same way here, is you either, how can I explain this? So generally you either have people that you follow or that are following you. And so when you post it, people that are following you, that again are generally people that, you know, you have some type of friendship or relationship with, but anybody can ask you to follow you. But they're the ones that receive that. Or if you're following somebody, you receive their text. And then they have another thing there called hashtags, or you put a hashtag in there, you're saying this is about this overall concept, and then that puts it out there that anybody who wants to search about that concept will see it. And I'll show you what that looks like right here. Okay, so basically, this person right here posted this question from Twitter: how do we get students to see copyright as more than just a rule as we preach to them? And then she put in some ats, so those went to specific people. And then this right here is a hashtag, so it's that £. There's probably a different name for it as well. But she's putting it in as CG iPad. So if somebody happened to be following that topic, I don't even know what that topic is, they could search for it that way. So here's some examples of hashtags. And I don't know if you've heard the word trending, but trending basically is following Twitter, and with whatever the most popular hashtags are, those are the ones that are trending the most. So for example, again, this CG iPad, let's click on it and see what it says. I don't know what that is. Yeah, I don't even know how to interpret that one. But these are people's comments all about that particular post.
It's people I don't know, that's why I asked if it could be.
So because she put in this hashtag, she's basically making that public and saying anybody that has an interest in this particular topic can see it. Does that make sense? So My Big Campus is another one. So when they put in that hashtag, they're saying, let people who are searching for this topic see my post. Okay, they're basically making it public that way. So then if I like what she happens to be saying, I'm like, oh, she's kind of interesting. You know, she's got some good ideas. I could learn something from her. I could click on follow, and now that puts her on my page, and I would see her on my page all the time, on that activity page. Okay, so here, let's just come back again. So here on EduTalk, okay, these are posts that people have made, and so, so EduTalk is different. Yeah, so let's come right up here. I think I have a better answer for your question. Okay, so we come back to my activity page. Now, if I click on include on EduTalk, that is going to be there for everybody to see. Okay, that's putting it out there for the public, that anybody who clicks on this link right here on My Big Campus will be able to see that. Now, My Big Campus is not out there for anybody in the world to see. We had to log in to get into it to start. So anybody, any school district that uses Lightspeed as their filter has My Big Campus. Okay, but if I'm just Joe Schmo on the street and I want to log into My Big Campus, there's no way for me to do that. Okay, so that's what include on EduTalk does, is it puts it here. And so there are different ways that you could post on EduTalk, is again through that activity box. You could do a post here. So you can either do it from activity and click on include on EduTalk, or you could click on EduTalk and post your own things there. But it's really, So this is, EduTalk is the forum that crosses school districts. Everything else in My Big Campus will only be inside of our school district or inside of groups that you create in our school district. EduTalk is the one that spans. So when you post things there, or when you go to EduTalk, you're now saying, okay, I don't want to just stick with District 93. I want to see what everybody else in the world is doing. Does that make sense? Okay, so I probably jumped the gun a little bit when I should have talked about EduTalk and then jumped into Twitter. But EduTalk follows the same rules as Twitter, which means you put a hashtag in to talk about the topic that you want to read about. Okay, so for example, professional learning communities is going to be something we're hearing a lot about in our district over the next few years. And so if I wanted to see what everybody else in the country is doing with EduTalk or about PLCs, I can search for that topic here. I happen to have a couple of posts there, okay, and see what everybody else in the world is saying about PLCs. Okay. I don't know what else would be out there. There are TIAs there. Anybody go to the TIA conference last week?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so there's one person at least posting about it from Hutchinson, Kansas. Okay, and again, so you can click on her, kind of read more about her. Okay, but that's what EduTalk is. So EduTalk is a forum. Okay, basically a discussion board that again goes across all districts. Any district that's using My Big Campus, those users can post to EduTalk. And you can also, if you do have a Twitter account, you can link it back to Twitter and then post from your Twitter account and link that back to here. So like on my page, I wasn't even thinking about the fact I had my Twitter account tied back to My Big Campus. So the other day I was at the park with my kids and just happened to take a picture with my phone and post it on Twitter. And so then it's not going to let me because of the filter. I'll override it here. And so I could post my picture on Twitter, my kid. So that's what Twitter looks like and why that picture's not coming. So this is where people, so if they see me, they can follow there. I can follow other people, etc., etc. That picture doesn't pop up. Oh, it's still coming through. Okay, so that's EduTalk. It's nice to know that it's there. It's not a feature that I've used a ton with My Big Campus. Oh, there's my kid being there at the park. So. I don't know if I can miss this game. Okay. The next link down is Conversations, and Conversations is basically an alternative to email. Okay. Now, I'm not sure that there's a real strong advantage to one over the other, but just know that again, anybody in the district with a district email address you could message in My Big Campus instead. Trying to think if there's any reason why you would. Bob, was there a reason you sent it to me this way instead of Outlook?
Because I don't have an email address at home. I didn't know.
Oh, but now you do. Now you know
Yes,
how to do that. So now you can probably send it to me now. So, but Bob sent me a message last night asking where the tech center was. The nice thing is it's linked to your Outlook, so you don't have to always come back and check My Big Campus for your email. Instead, I got a message in my email box and Bob had sent me a message in My Big Campus. Okay, so yeah, just well, it's on my phone, and anyway, yeah. So I am a little too connected. I know that. Okay, so just know conversations is a way that you can message people. Like I said, we have Outlook, so I'm not sure that there's a huge advantage to doing that, but no, it's an option. One way it could be an advantage, I don't even know. If you wanted to keep emails to students out of your inbox, I mean, you could do it theoretically through My Big Campus, but actually, I don't know how well that would work. So I just know that it's there. I'd have to think about that. Okay, the next, your next option is schoolwork. We're going to come back and we'll talk about schoolwork in more detail tomorrow. But schoolwork is a way that you can assign assignments to your students and actually have them submit assignments back. It actually you can also create online quizzes for your students. So again, maybe a little bit more useful in upper grades and lower grades just because of computer access. But you do have those, 4 computers in your classroom in elementary grades. So you could post a quiz for students on here. Students want to take it, and you put in right and wrong answers. It actually grades everything automatically for you. So again, we'll kind of get into more detail on that tomorrow, but know that that's there. Okay. Bundles is a new feature that they just released about a month ago. And again, we're going to spend quite a bit of time on bundles tomorrow, but just in a nutshell, bundles are collections. And so you can take files off of your computer or your flash drive, just like we did in SkyDrive, and upload them to My Big Campus. But then it lets you bundle those together for students. So you can actually take those and you can put different types of assignments together. You can actually put YouTube videos with them. You can take all those things and kind of make a unit right here in My Big Campus that your students could go and access that whole unit. So
Is bundles like Pinterest?
there's some similarities to Pinterest, yeah. So, well, right here's one on Pinterest. So let's just take a look and see what they told us about Pinterest. Okay, so this says Pinterest for educators. Okay, and so notice here, here's a link, and that's a PNG is an image file. So you can click on that, and it'll pull up the picture. So they just did, so I'm in bundles. Okay, I clicked on bundles, and these are some examples of bundles that people have made public. So again, a bundle is a collection of resources. Okay, so if you think about taking a manila folder and sticking in and creating a unit for your students and sticking in here's this worksheet, here's this activity, here's your spelling words. You're doing that same thing, but you're doing it in the cloud in a bundle. But in addition to those hard copy types of things, you can actually put pictures in there. You can put YouTube videos in there. There's a lot of things. So I was just scrolling down through this, and somebody happened to mention Pinterest, so we just clicked on this Pinterest bundle that Beth Walton put together, whoever Beth is, and she made it public. So what she has here are a collection of pictures. Okay, there's a how-to video that she's linked from Vimeo. So all these, she's taken all these different resources and put them into one place called a bundle. Okay, so if you just think about your classes, you can take any unit that you teach. Let's say you're doing 4th grade, I know history, you do Lewis and Clark. You could do a bundle on Lewis and Clark. So in there you could have videos about Lewis and Clark, you could have handouts, you could have worksheets, you could have links to other web pages. All those things can go into one place that your students click on, and all those resources are there for them.
Are the ratings people have rated it?
Yes. So these are other My Big Campus users that have gone through the bundle and then given it a rating on how effective they feel like that bundle is. And you should be able to search for bundles. And so you content ratings won't be, yeah. So just like the 5-star rating here, okay? Notice here there's an option to explore. So you can do everything. You can actually look for it by Idaho standards or by Common Core state standards. Okay.
So the bundles are then viewable by your students.
Right. So when you create a bundle as a teacher, and again, this is what we'll be working on tomorrow. But when you create a bundle as a teacher, you can publish that to your students, or you can put it out there on the internet. That's not quite the right word. Out there on My Big Campus for any other My Big Campus user to use as well. So it's really kind of a cool tool where, I mean, you think about, I remember trying to collaborate with teachers just in my own building back at Hillcrest, but now you can truly collaborate with teachers across the world, find their units that they've used, pull those down, make it your own, add content, delete content, and then republish your own bundle with it. So it's really kind of a cool way for teachers to collaborate and share ideas. Okay, so I went to Explore, and I went to Common Core State Standards, and then I can pick between language arts or math. So if I'm looking on, as a teacher, what can I be doing to integrate the Common Core State Standards more into my planning next year? I can pop right on there, and it should drop down into specific grade levels. Okay, so if I'm doing, let's stick with grade 6. Oh, so nobody's published anything in grade 6 yet. Maybe you can search by your particular assignment area and see what bundles are there, okay? And then you can create new ones. So again, we'll come back and we'll be working tomorrow specifically on creating our own bundles, and I'll be doing some here for our class to start, okay? But just know that's what those are. So basically units. They're online units that are published to the cloud for either you to use or your class to use or other users on My Big Campus. Okay, your stuff is basically everything that you have that's unbundled. Okay, and so just like we did with SkyDrive, you can publish your documents to here. Okay, so you can not only upload them to SkyDrive, you can upload them to here. So a couple of things to think about with that. One is one advantage of putting them here is they'll be available to your students, okay, or to parents, however you want to make those available, in a pretty easy to use and easy to access format, okay. Another way to do that we kind of looked at earlier is you could upload them to SkyDrive and then use that share option and just publish the link to those documents. So kind of two ways to think about them. We'll get into more detail tomorrow. But in the meantime, just kind of think about that process. With SkyDrive, the advantage is if you've got one copy of the file in one place, when you edit it, it'll be changed everywhere, okay? And so you only have to worry about keeping one file up to date. If you upload it separately to My Big Campus, you've got to change it both in SkyDrive and on My Big Campus. The upside is it's a lot simpler just to upload a document to My Big Campus than it is to upload it to SkyDrive, get the link, and come back and publish that link on My Big Campus. So just kind of something to think about. We'll play with it a little bit more tomorrow. Okay, but it's pretty simple to upload files here. Okay, there's just an add button, and you can say I want to add a file from my computer, or I want to add a YouTube video to my collections, or I want to add a website. And so kind of like bookmarking, I don't know how many of you bookmark websites, but when you add a website, it's really like bookmarking if you're in My Big Campus. So you're taking a website that you would use all the time and putting it here. And again, that way you've got it saved for you, but you can also republish that out either in a bundle or just as a link for your students or your parents. Okay. We'll play a little bit more with that, but just kind of a quick overview on different things you can upload there. So if I just said add file, okay, just like we did in SkyDrive, you just click to upload it, and you go and find the file that you want to upload. So if I want to do that teaching with our class schedule again, put that on the desktop, teaching with tech, okay. So now I've got a copy of that up in SkyDrive, plus I have a copy of it here in My Big Campus. Okay, so again, we're doing just a quick overview of things right now. Don't worry too much about it. We're going to get in and really get into detail tomorrow. Okay, there's a calendar here. How many of you wrestled with the old Novus web pages? Anybody try to keep your Novus web pages up to date? Anybody still trying to keep them up to date? Oh, good for you. Good. So one of the first classes I ever did on technology for the district was Novus. And one of the things teachers always asked for was a calendar. And we just never had a really good calendar option inside of Novus. This one's really pretty simple. And so you've got a couple different views of it, and you can post. You just click on create a new event, and you can put new activities or new assignments in there. Okay, you can decide whether you just want it on your personal calendar, if you want it on for a specific group, for a school or for the district. You can put in titles for it, beginnings and endings. So kind of a nice way that you could publish like assignment due dates for students, especially for bigger assignments. I'd hate to do it on little things, but if you have half a dozen or 10, 12 major assignments during a unit, then you can post those on there. Okay, you can even put reminders on there. You can put a description of them. Okay, so kind of just keep that in mind. Again, we'll come back and show how it all fits together. Okay, so we do have our Teaching with Tech class on there, although it looks like I've got to update. I've got them both at 4 o'clock. I've got to change that. Okay, and then, so that's our calendar. I skipped My Big Campus documents. I'm just going to tell you briefly what it is and then say I wouldn't even mess with it. But My Big Campus documents is their version of like Google Docs or SkyDrive. So basically they said, okay, we want people to be able to go in and create a document in the cloud and save it to here. So it works, and you can use it, but it's got very limited functionality. And if we didn't have SkyDrive, it might be something you'd really look at, but because we have SkyDrive, I really don't think I would mess with it. But just know that that's what it is. So I can click on new. So this is like their little version of Word. But notice, I mean, it's really pretty basic on what you can do with it, and not nearly as user-friendly as using Word online. So if you want to create a document in the cloud, I'd really recommend you stick with SkyDrive. Okay, calendar we covered. Okay, blog. Anybody have a blog, a personal blog? One hand? Okay. Anybody tell us what a blog is? There's my blog. I haven't been a big blogger on this. Anybody know what a blog is?
He just writes pictures and comments.
Good. Okay. So it's kind of blogs, and they're still definitely a good resource. But they're kind of this in between web pages and Facebook chronologically. So it used to be when the web first started, and for quite a while, you had to either teach yourself a programming language like HTML to be able to create a web page, or you had to invest in software like FrontPage or Dreamweaver or something like that to be able to publish publish a web page. It wasn't very user friendly. So then the next step, the next evolution of Web 2.0 is really blogs, which is short for web blogs, where they created websites where people could go in and quickly just type a comment, upload a picture, and do some really just basic, simple things with a web page to keep what most people would use a web page for up to date. And so that's where blogs came from. So again, if you've wrestled with Novus, Novus allows you to create a web page and it programs everything in HTML. But a blog, you can just really quickly come in and just click on add a blog post, give it a title. Notice, as opposed to our activity where we could just basically do text, you've got some formatting things here. So you can do bullets, you can do numbers, you can do some formatting with the fonts, you can upload pictures to it. You can even change the font a little bit on them. Okay, so it gives you a little bit more control over the format. Okay, so really, to me, it's a much simpler to use web page than using Novus would be. So if I were teaching classes, rather than keeping Novus up to try to keep Novus up to date, I would really look at using a blog on MyBig Campus and using some of the group functions here. And I think you'll have a lot happier experience, and it won't be nearly as frustrating as trying to keep that Novus page up to date. So, okay, so that's what a blog is. And the last thing is the profile. Not next to last thing, I should say. Okay. So this is my profile. Notice it has my posts here now. So these are the things that I posted, okay, or the people have responded to me. You can put, so this is my wall. So again, I can update there, just like I did on that activity page. If I had photos that I wanted to post on there, I could upload photos to it. There's my blog. Okay, there's a link for some information about me. And if I want to update that, then I can go to edit my account information. Okay, you can put in what you teach, what grade levels you teach. You can upload your own picture. If you want to put your own picture on there instead of using a default one. If you have a picture saved on your computer, then you can find that and put it on there. Okay. If you have an unlimited texting plan and you want to put your mobile number there, you can get text messages about when people post on there. But like I said, I've been hard enough time keeping up with my other ones, so I haven't done that. Okay. And then you can update that down there. Okay. And then
going through this in more detail.
Yeah. Yep. And then you've got followers and following. So again, people can request to follow you on MyBig Campus, kind of like a Twitter thing. Or if you want to follow other people and see the things that they post, then you can do that. Okay. So let's do this. I think that's probably where this is really going to start to come together is under groups. But I want to hold off on groups for a minute. And let's go ahead and take a few minutes and just look at updating your profile. So if you click on profile there, and you can go ahead and update that with whatever you want to put into it. Okay, so you can come, again, you can look at your photos, you can look on the About Me link, update anything on About Me that you want to update. And why don't you even take a minute and see if there's something to post on your blog. And so you can just click on add a new blog post, or under the settings, you can put down, and this is really a crucial one, okay? So let's think about this one for just a second. There's a box there to make your blog viewable by anyone on the internet, okay? So remember, MyBig Campus is secure. It's there, and all of our students, K through 12, can access MyBig Campus. They have a login to it. All of our teachers and other people who have a district email account can get into My Big Campus. Okay, so who can't get into My Big Campus that maybe as a teacher you would want them to? One big demographic I can think of. Parents. Okay, so parents could log in with their student username and password, but they'd be under their student account. But they could log in that way. So you could say, parents, just I'm using My Big Campus. Here's your students' login information, and they can log into it. And the students' login information should be, okay, so we have this K through 6 and then 7 through 12 divide. But K through 6 should be like we're using for everything else. It should be their student number and their first name. Should be how they log into My Big Campus. For 7 through 12, I think, I've got to think about how we're doing 7 through 12 now. Does anybody know? David, you use this, My Big Campus? I've got to think about how 7 through 12 is, but they're using it. So I know it's their district, it's their computer accounts. So the same way they log into computers, their computer accounts will be how they log into My Big Campus. So it should still be their student number and then whatever password they use for their student accounts. Okay, so parents cannot. So again, two things. You could either have parents use their students' information to log in, or there are a couple of places, and it's not with everything, but there's a few places where you can make those things public, so you don't have to log into My Big Campus to see it. So if, for example, I wanted to substitute and use my blog for my web page, I could check that box and then just have Dave Covert update the link on my school website to take parents to this blog and send it to my Novus page and keep this up to date instead. Does that make sense? Okay, so there are some reasons why you might want to make some things public to everybody on the internet, and then there's definitely some cases where you wouldn't necessarily want to do that. And we'll kind of just talk about those as we go through. So, again, take a look at your profile, update, something on your blog if you want to, and then also click on that About Me and update anything that you want to update under your account information. Okay, so you can do your salutation. If we don't have your first name quite right, then you can change that. You can put in something about yourself if you want to do that. Okay, you can update your job assignment if we need to do that. You can update your subjects that you teach, the grades you teach. And if you have a photo that you want to use instead of the default one, you can do that as well. And I'll walk around and help. Okay. And then I've got a few questions online. Sorry about that. Been wandering around away from my computer, so let me. Susan Call, do you have a microphone?
No.
Oh, I can hear you.
Oh, okay.
I see you had a question there. I was just trying to pull that up. Sorry, I've been kind of wandering around the lab and I haven't. So can you download a Smartboard document to SkyDrive? If I can do so, can other people? So your question is, yeah, you could absolutely upload any file you want to SkyDrive. The only limitation is size. And I think it's 50 megabytes. I think is the cutoff to upload documents. But if they don't have a Smartboard or the Smart software, then they won't be able to do anything with that file.
Right. Okay, that answers my question. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yep, and I'm going to go and leave this.
How do I link My Big Campus to the school webpage
so there's two ways you could do that. If you're familiar with Novus, you could just put, for example, you could take this link right here. Let me go to my blog because that's what we would be. So if I wanted to say link my blog, and and I'm not sure your blog is going to be exactly what you want to link. So kind of hold on to that thought for a minute. Here, if I click on the blog, if this is what I wanted to link, then I can just take this address here and copy it, and then I can put it into Novus. And so that would be one way to link it. Two,
Okay.
if I wanted that direct link off my teacher page where parents would click on my name to go to my web page, if I wanted that to go directly to my big campus, then I would just email Dave Covert. His email address is dave@d93.k12.id.us and ask him to change the link to that. But hold on to that thought because, like I said, I'm not sure. It could be the blog that you want to have parents go to, but there's one other option that I think might. What grade do you teach, Susan?
8th grade.
8. So probably would.
8th.
So it probably would be your blog, because we're going to talk about groups here as well. Because ultimately you're going to want parents to get down to their specific classes. So I would probably do that blog.
But I would want them to see the calendar as well. Could they get access the calendar?
And so, yeah, hold on to that thought. We're going to talk about groups, and I think you'll see where that calendar will really be functional. Because you'll probably have, I think you're going to end up with, well, do you just teach one subject in the 8th grade, or you teach multiple?
Just one.
Oh, so you just teach, is it English?
Math.
Okay, math. So maybe you will. So maybe you'll just have the one calendar with 8th grade, but I think you're going to want to publish that just to your 8th grade math class. And so that's what we're going to talk about here in just a minute, is setting up groups.
Okay.
Okay, so this is my blog, and I just did this test one, and I clicked on it over here. So once I pull that up, it's easy to delete that, and I can go in and do a new one. So. No, it's supposed to come over from our directory, but we definitely had some bugs with that.
Might explain why I didn't have those little checkboxes.
Yes, it probably does. Okay, why don't you log out and log in and try again? I'm not making any promises, but I think it's it all depends on the HR and when HR activates you, and they activate them all. And so I'm not sure what their plan is to teach you. It's July 1st. I have to talk to Michelle and see what like our usual protocol. We have that so everything here is going to be temporary because we're going to have that official. Now anything share links with your profile, save that. So, no, you're fine. I'm just gonna mark it.
Because she loved it. She absolutely loved it. She loved it. She just
Alright, thanks.
How are the blogs going? Okay, are we ready to knock out another half hour and we'll wrap up? Okay, so were you able to get in, Christine? Still trying? Let me go back to blogs just for a minute. I just did a blog post just to get in the habit of things. So when you do a blog post, again, you've got okay. So again, you've got some nice formatting options with it where you can go in and you can change the font a little bit. Fonts get a little bit tricky with the internet because fonts reside on computers. Okay, and so if you pick out a super fancy font that's there on your computer, you publish that out to the internet, chances are that most of the people who view that web page aren't going to have that same font installed on their computer, so they can see something. They will see something totally different, and sometimes it can be complete gibberish. You really want to be fairly conservative with your web page fonts. If you ever see something that's really fancy in writing on the internet, it's a picture. And so what they've done is they've taken their fancy font and they've converted that into a JPEG or a GIF picture and posted that way. So that way you're looking at a picture, so it doesn't matter what font's installed on your computer, all you're seeing is a picture, if that makes sense. So just be a little bit careful as you play around with fonts because, like I said, it can come up looking very differently on somebody else's computer. Okay, but you've got some, bold options, italicized, just some different things that you can do to format your blog. And again, you can put pictures in there. So if you have a picture saved on your computer that you want to post as part of your blog, this one's RTI Lumber. Okay, so you can post pictures on there. Okay, we'll come back and we'll talk about videos. Okay, but you can hyperlink from there as well. And so if I wanted to link something, I don't have anything to link it to yet, but I will here in a minute. But I can highlight that, click here, and build a hyperlink to another web page as well. So you've got some pretty good functionality with your blogs, and that's why I say I think it could really work as a nice substitute for our Novus web pages. So if you're interested in keeping a web page up to date on, say, weekly or twice a month basis, something like that, I think you'll find the blogs are a lot easier option to use than Novus is. Okay, when you post a blog, again, remember this is Web 2.0, not Web 1.0, so you do have the option to let people comment on it. Okay, so again, you can make it public out there for the whole internet, or you can keep it to specific people just inside of my big campus. But there's some pros and cons to letting people post on there. So so a couple of options. First of all, you can choose whether to let people comment on it or not. But then you also have a secondary box that says, I need to approve the comments before I post them. So that's ways to make sure that you don't have students posting something that's inappropriate or those kinds of things on there. But one thing that's really nice about My Big Campus, and remember it's provided by our filter, and so it's monitored. Facebook, when I was an assistant principal at Hillcrest, we'd get students come in complaining that this student harassed them on MySpace or on Facebook, and there just wasn't a whole lot we could do. It was very hard to get in and try to get to those accounts, try to backtrack anything. I mean, it was almost an impossible task to try to monitor any type of harassment or bullying that was happening on Facebook. That's not the case with Lightspeed and with My Big Campus. Everything that students publish on here, we can monitor and supervise at the administrative level. So I can do it. Joe Tamayo, who's over our internet security, can do it, and principals can do it. So what happens is, and we've got some work to do with students on this, but if somebody publishes something that's inappropriate, it can get flagged. And so when students come in and they see something here, or teachers, if you see something that's not appropriate, you can click on this link that says report abuse, and you can specify what kind of abuse it is and click on report. And that sends an email again to Joe Tamayo, who's over Lightspeed, over our internet security. I get an email on it. We have multiple people here at the tech center that get emails on it, and then principals get it as well. So then we can click on the link. We can see whether it's actually bullying or harassment. We can delete the post if it is. We can shut down people's accounts. There's different things we can do. So far, almost every single instance has been kids screwing around with each other. So they start, posting back and forth and flagging as inappropriate. So you kind of have a few conversations with students about using that appropriately. But I really think as this gets rolled out and as we do the right teaching with our students, then that'll become less and less of an issue. So kind of a nice option there. Okay. And again, if I post something and I don't want that posted, or if I want to change it, so I don't want my RTI picture on there, I've got my posts here, so I can just come back, I can click on those and either edit or delete my posts right off of there.
Question.
Yes.
When a student wants to see your blog, how do they find it?
Okay, that is a great question. So how do students find your blog? So there's a couple of ways. If we were just doing a straight blog, then they could search up here for your name, okay? And so they could come up here. Let me go ahead and save that. Okay, but if you wanted to find something in here, they could search for your name there. Now keep in mind, they're going to be searching across multiple people, and so the more specific you are on what you search for, the better off you'll be. So if I put in Scott, for example, okay, I'm going to get a lot of different ones, some of which have to do with me and some that don't, but right there's my account, and so they can click on that to find the blog. Okay, but there's going to be some better options, and that's what we're going to talk about right now. But before I switch gears, but before I take us to the next step with groups, any questions on blogs then? Again, pretty simple web page, I think. You can play with it a little bit, but it's really, it's not too difficult to pick up on what to do there. This blog I did about our one-to-one laptops. Again, I wanted to put in a link about the whole program, and so I just came down here, highlighted what I wanted to hyperlink, clicked on this little icon here, which says insert or edit link, and then opened up a new tab to find the web page I wanted. Happens to be this one. And then I just copied that address up here, so I can just double click, highlight that web address, right click on it and copy it, and come back here and paste it. Okay, so that's how I put in a hyperlink to a different web page. Under Target, you can either let it open in the same window or in a new window. First, I would recommend new windows to outside websites. That way, when people click on it, it'll pop up in a new window, but your page still stays open in the background. And then I put in a title for it, and I'll show you what that title does. So I click on Save now. Okay. So first of all, when I hover over it, you see this little pop-up window that says Students Come First. So that's the title. Those are there for visually impaired viewers on websites. So when they turn on, anybody remember what that's called? Text to speech, I guess is, I think there's another word too, but it's an accessibility option. So basically when they use their mouse and they hover over a link, it will read to them whatever's in that pop-up box, so they know whether to click on it or not. So that's the purpose of those little pop-up titles. You'll see them on pictures and you'll see them on hyperlinks. But again, they're for visually impaired learners, that whatever you type into that title is what pops up in this, should pop up in that window. Okay. And then when I told it to do it in a new window, notice how it pops open this window in front, but I've still got my web page back here in the background. Okay. And then this is an opportunity for people to post a comment on what I just posted there. And then the one thing I didn't talk about, let me edit that again, is it also has tags. Okay, so you can put in tags down here. You don't have to put in tags. Tags are something that really started coming out about 3 or 4 years ago, but it's basically keywords. So just keywords that you can put with that blog. So if somebody wanted to search for a particular topic, they can put in those keywords to find what it is. So nothing you have to do, but sometimes it's useful for people searching on a certain topic.
Can you type whatever you want in like Word, copy it, and paste
Absolutely.
it here?
Yep.
Because this doesn't have a spell check.
Yeah, I don't think there was a spell check there. So yeah, absolutely. You can type it in Word, save it, and then copy and paste it here. Okay. If everybody's ready, any other questions on blogging at all? On the blogs in My Big Campus? We're okay? Okay, we're going to come down to groups then. So we covered, at least in brief, all those top menu items. Down here, notice there's groups, people, and topics. Okay. Okay, and what we're going to focus on is on groups. And notice I have a list of groups here. So these are all groups that I belong to. Some of you, does anybody have a group on your page here? Okay, so a handful of you have groups. Probably most of you don't have any groups yet. Okay, so there are, as a teacher, you can either create a group, which means really for your class, you can now create a group for your class, or you can actually join groups too. I'll show you how to do both of those things. Let's start with creating your own group. Okay, so if I'm creating a group, then I use the Add Group button. If I want to join a group and I don't see it here, then I click on the More Groups. So we're going to create a group for a class that you teach. So we're going to click on Add Group here. Okay, has a group title. Go ahead and put in a title for your group here. Okay. And then yours probably doesn't have a drop down for schools. Okay. And then okay. Put in whatever description you want to put underneath that. Okay. You can choose to put a photo with it if you want to use a photo with it. If you don't, that's fine. Okay, and then when you click on Save, you've now created your first group. So if I'm teaching elementary, I would just create one group for your class, and I would just call it Mrs. Ferguson's class or whatever name you want to give it. Okay. If I'm teaching secondary, need to give that one a little bit of thought. Personally, I think I would, if you go back to my English days, I'd probably have an English 9 group and an English 10 group, but you could do it by period. So you kind of have to think about that whether you want to have individual ones for each separate class, or if you'd rather have a more collaborative experience and have all of your classes grouped together.
Do you need to have your name with it?
Not necessarily, but I think I would. It's going to make it a little bit easier for students to find to join up. So I think putting my name with it's not a bad idea.
If you request to join the group, how long did it take for you, and how did they notify you?
Great question. I'll show you that here in just 2 seconds. Since I'm going to have everybody request to join this group. It depends on the owner of the group and how quickly they get to adding people into it. So that's the nice thing, though. That's a great lead in, Connie. Is when you create a group, you have complete control over that group. Okay, unless Joe or I get way bored with our jobs and we need something to do, we want to go mess with their group. But unless you're either him or I, you're the only person that has control over that group. So you get complete control over who joins your group and who doesn't join it, and all those things. So it's kind of nice because you can't just have random students jumping into your class. You, as the owner of the group, you will approve every single person or invite every single person into your group. Okay. So before we get to members, we'll pick up on members here in just a minute. Let's just take a look at what we have here. So first of all, I have a nice blank page, but that doesn't have to be blank. Okay. It includes my description that I put in, but that's all that's there. Okay. So if I wanted to put more information there, I would just go back to my group and edit that. I click right here on the edit button and add more to the description here. Okay. But there's also, and there's some homepage content. Looks a lot like our blog page, if you remember right. So again, you can go in, you can do insert pictures in there. You can insert video even if you wanted. You can do some formatting with your text. Okay. Now here are some interesting options. And again, there's no right answer here. It's really what do you feel is the best for you in your teaching situation. But notice the first one, privacy. You can choose. I hope everybody has this option to choose. Does anybody not have that? On who can see it. Okay. So again, only group members can view it, or anyone on the internet can view it. If you check anyone on the internet, you can actually be specific and show what can anyone on the internet see. Okay, so again, I'd be thinking in terms of parents, and what do I want parents to be able to see without having to log into My Big Campus. Okay, and once we go through what each one of these things are, you'll probably have a little bit better feel. But discussions are basically ways that students can have discussions back and forth with each other. Okay, notice you can't participate in the discussions as anybody on the internet, but you could view them. Okay. So you couldn't have some stranger somewhere logging in or logging in, but participating in that discussion with your students. That would still be limited, but anybody on the internet would be able to see the discussions your students are having with each other and with you. Okay, announcements. I would definitely highly recommend that you make announcements available to anybody on the internet, especially for parents. Okay. Calendar, I think, would also be a good thing to make available for parents. And then everything else is kind of up to you, and you can always come back and change these and modify these as we go through. Okay. Okay. You can, as part of a group, you can actually create web pages for the group. Okay. And so you can decide whether you want students to be able to create web pages as part of the group, or if you want to hold on to that control and only do it yourself. And once we have students added in, you can actually pick specific students or group members, I should say, to who can create those. Okay, and then this is kind of nice too. You can choose which things you want available even in your group, because you don't have to. You can uncheck all those and not have any of them, or you can have all of them. Totally up to you on how you do that. So if you don't want to let your students have discussions back and forth in My Big Campus, if you don't see how that's going to be relevant to what you're doing with your class, you can uncheck that or check it. Chat's kind of interesting, and it's going to be really interesting once we get the one-to-one laptops in our high schools, because students can actually go on and video chat with each other through My Big Campus. Okay, could be a useful tool, could be a total pain in the butt tool. I have no idea, but just know that that's what is there. But again, students would have to be only doing that as part of that group. And so you could have a situation where, Dave Anderson, if he's teaching 3 different Spanish 2 classes, the students could actually log onto their laptops and have a conversation with each other through the camera on the laptop through My Big Campus in Spanish. So, I mean, there could be some really useful tools, some interesting applications for it, but it would definitely take some thought, I think, on how you would set that up and what expectations you put in place for kids. Okay, pages or web pages, resources, calendar, and members. Okay, and again, you can change the photo there. So you can kind of play around with those settings, and anytime you want to go back and turn something on or turn something off, you just hit that edit button and you can make those changes to it. Okay, so these are the things that I have enabled on mine. So notice I turned off pages. If you didn't turn off pages, you'd have another tab up here that says pages. But as you click those things on and off, they'll either appear or disappear from here. Okay, announcements I think are a great tool for teachers, especially if you make those public. But here you can just come on and quickly you could post an announcement saying, hey, remember, or on June 5th we have this assignment due. You can even post the directions for that assignment right on there. You can link out to a web page if you want to on that. There's lots you can do. A link to that entire bundle once we get in and create bundles. But announcements are just really quick and easy messages. I think again you're limited to about 165 characters, but quick messages you can send out to your group. Okay. Discussions. Okay. I'm going to take a step back because I want to do all this in real time with you. So let's go to our members for a minute. So I just created a group called Teaching with Tech June 2012, and now I need to get people in there. So there's one of 2 ways to do that. One, I can go through and I can search for every individual myself and type in their names. Okay. But notice that's going to be a fairly time-consuming process. But as I start typing in names, people will pop up, and I can add them in that way. That's interesting. Did you see that? Bob? See that, Bob?
What's that?
Neil Scott's name is in there. That goes back, what, 8 years since he was here? So, okay. So that's one way to do it. So if I'm teaching elementary and I've got 20 to 30 kids in my elementary class, that may not be a bad way to get kids in there. Another option though is like Connie was saying, you can request a group, join a group. And so what I'd like everybody to do is if you come here and click on groups again, and then, because you're not seeing our Teaching with Tech class here, if you click on more groups, down at that bottom, this will list all the groups in the whole district. Okay, and you can just search for one. So if you'll go ahead and search for Teaching with Tech. And we're going to do the June 2012 one. Okay, so you're going to see something different when you click on that than I see, but right up here in this top left corner above the edit and maintenance links, you should have a little button that says join, and go ahead and click that join button. Okay, and as you're doing that, if you'll notice here, I have a notification link right up here next to the search bar. There's this notification link. And under there, it will show requests. Okay, so those are popping in. Okay, so as those notifications come in, then all I need to do is go in and click on the person's name and join them to the group.
Janet, you're teaching the class.
Okay.
Mine said that you were teaching. So if it comes up to the Bottomsville School District 193, then you successfully joined it. It's not on my list, yeah.
So if you click here on My Big Campus again, after I've joined you, it should pop up here under Teaching with Tech June 2012. Notice they're in alphabetical order.
This is the one. Now you gotta find
Did somebody join a different group?
Well, she made her class teaching with Jack.
Oh, you made your class Teaching with Tech? Okay.
Well, I did
You can
both,
you
so
can
I
click
know.
under Edit and you can and rename that to a different group, or you can delete it. Okay, so now I've got all of my members,
Not quite.
okay, coming in.
So you have to make sure it's owned by the right person that you are.
Yes. Yeah. Was there another one?
Yeah.
That's close.
Well, your name's up there. Yeah.
Okay, so if you're not sure whether you got joined or not, again, if you click on the My Big Campus homepage link up there, that will just kind of refresh it, and then you should see it down here at the bottom, Teaching with Tech June 2012. Okay. So now, if I clicked on announcements, okay, and I post that, then you won't only see it here under our group, but if you came back and clicked on your activity page, it should pop up there on your home wall too, because we now have a relationship. You're now part of a group that I'm part of. Okay? Okay, so there's announcements. Okay, so discussions. Again, here is where, and it's a really fairly subtle difference between discussions and announcements. But announcements are really there just for you as a teacher to communicate something out briefly to your class. You can post out bundles, you can post links, you can post files with a short message. Okay. And again, as we're kind of going back and contrasting this with SkyDrive a little bit, that is one advantage. Is here you're posting the document, but you can also send a message with that document. So you can kind of get some explanation or do a little bit more explanation or direction with students with that. Or with SkyDrive, really all you're doing is just putting the file out there. Okay. Discussions, on the other hand, are meant for students in the class to be able to discuss with each other. And so you can put an idea out there and ask students for their responses to get either feedback among students or back to you as a teacher. So I'm going to go ahead and post a discussion for tomorrow's class. Okay, so today the 10th. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and post that now. And so now, if you click on the discussions page, you should have this question, which is what items would you like me to discuss in more detail? So from today's discussion, with SkyDrive, with Outlook, with My Big Campus, if there's anything I've gone over too quickly, what things would you like me to go back and just spend a little bit more time reviewing or in detail? So to respond to that, you can just click down here in this Add Post box. You can type your response and click on Add Post. And notice you as a student, and your students will also have the ability that if they want to share a file here, if they want to share anything that they have, they can share that back to part of the group discussion. So they could upload their own response to something. They could upload, say, a PowerPoint if they had a PowerPoint they wanted to share. There's lots of different ways they could post back to this. Okay, so under your discussions, did you click on the discussions? Okay, so click on discussions. And then if you click on this link, review of Monday's class, then it should give you the box to add a response. Okay. Okay. And then as part of that class discussion, again, people can respond to other people's comments. They can yes the comments, which like in Facebook is like liking a comment. I think that's probably some type of trademark. So in My Big Campus, it's a yes. You can, again, report somebody for abuse if they've posted something inappropriate there. You can repost it, so you're posting it to your wall. Okay. So a lot of those same functional things as you have in Facebook. Okay, I'll let you keep posting there.
How do you delete members?
From a group?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you have a member in there that you need to kick off the island, you can click on maintenance, the maintenance link up here at the top, and then I click on remove members.
Huh?
Does that do everybody? Oh no, under members, sorry. I think that's to kick everybody out. If you click on members, then you should have an option here to remove users once you have people in there. Okay, and then you also have the option to give somebody admin rights if you want them to have the same controls over the group that you have. So if you're team teaching with another teacher, you can set up one group for both of you, and you can both have administrative rights to go in and do everything you need to do with the group. Okay. Here's the chat option, and okay, so you can do chats here. Okay, so again, you can do like chat room types of chat, or it does have the video option too if you have a video camera connected. Okay. Resources. So resources are pretty much anything that you want to share with a group. Okay. And so if I were to start start uploading files now. I could upload files individually and start posting, like, here's the spelling quiz, here's the vocab quiz. I could start uploading those things to the group. Or I could wait and, like we talked about earlier, bundle everything together as kind of a unit and then upload the whole bundle at once. Okay? And so all of those files you upload, you could just do them individually. And you can even organize them into folders like we did in SkyDrive. And so here's our group tab, and I could do a folder. In fact, I'll create one now called My Big Campus Documents. Okay, and then I could also have a folder for Easy Teach. Okay, and then I could upload files specifically into each one of those folders. But eventually I may want to bundle those all things together that now kind of puts it in a package for my students, or a unit for my students. Okay, and then here's the calendar, and this question came up a few minutes ago, but so I have a calendar here specifically for my group. I can create a new event. Okay, I'm going to do it for a group, and I'm going to do it for our Teaching with Tech class. And I'll just put it in class presentations. Okay. And I can click here. Put that on the 14th. Okay. And then notice it has an occurs every, so you can, if you have something that happens every Friday, you can post that on there. You don't have to put the location on there, but you certainly can if you want to. Okay. There's some categories if you want to create categories. Again, you don't have to, but it kind of keeps things organized if you do. Okay. And you can do a reminder. And you can put in a description. So. Okay. Oh, I guess I have to do location. I didn't think I had to, so. Okay, so now if I click on my calendar, I don't know what dates are now. Okay, so there's the presentation group. Okay, so that is groups in a nutshell. So hopefully you can see how to create your own groups for your class. Again, how you can add students into the group yourself by clicking on members and typing in individual names, or you could have just tell students log into My Big Campus, tell them the group name to join, and they can join it themselves. Then you'll just go back and approve every student that joins it. Okay? And once you do that, again, you've got the option to post now announcement to those students. If they have an email address, and all of our secondary students have a school-wide or a school-issued email address, when you post an announcement, it'll go to their email address as well as to their page in My Big Campus. Same thing with discussions. Students can chat back and forth, and then you can start to share assignments with students here in My Big Okay, so that's a pretty good overview of, or at least introduction to My Big Campus. Any questions that you have come up or anything you're not sure how to do with what we've covered so far? Okay, that's a lot for the day. So tomorrow we're going to get into some more things with My Big Campus. We'll talk about the library tomorrow, how to stream YouTube videos using My Big Campus, which is one of the probably the most popular features of My Big Campus. Is it's a way that you can safely show YouTube videos to your class. We're also going to jump into discovery streaming. You heard that announcement from the State Department. Are anybody familiar with discovery streaming? Anybody seen it anywhere? You have? Okay. So discovery streaming is provided from Discovery, the Discovery Channel. It's a service that streams a huge library of videos that Discovery has. We looked into it for our district with our tech grants 2 years ago, and the cost for our district would have been about $50,000 per year. Needless to say, we didn't do that. We didn't have 50 grand per year floating around, and if we did, we had some better ideas on how to use it. But the State Department and the Albertsons Foundation picked that up, and so they've just barely released that. The teachers, every teacher in Idaho now has access to Discovery streaming, so we'll get in and we'll take a look at what's there as well. I don't know a whole lot about it yet, other than how to get into it, so that'll be kind of interesting to see. So we'll look at streaming YouTube videos, look at Discovery streaming, and talk about internet safety. That'll be our morning. And then in the afternoon, we'll dig more into bundles and how to assign schoolwork and do assignments in My Big Campus. And that'll be kind of a wrap for My Big Campus. So again, if you have anything that you'd like me to talk about in more detail, either with My Big Campus or with SkyDrive, please post that on the board, and so I can go back and be prepared to teach anything in more detail with SkyDrive that we can cover. Okay. Any other questions for me? Okay, if you're fine.
Sorry, maybe just a really quick overview
Sure.
of what will be expected for our class.
So for the class presentation, what did I do with that? Okay, so here at the bottom, I have to think here for a minute. So at the bottom of the class schedule, I've got an overview there. And basically what we're looking at is for you to look at something that you will teach next year. So, and I wouldn't look at a full-blown unit, I would really look at it in terms of probably like a one-day lesson. Okay, so for not even a 1 day, but like just one lesson that we teach. And show us how you're going to use these tools that we're talking about. So I think I listed 8 different tools there, and I think I asked you to do 6 of them. So it's 6 out of those 8. So either using SkyDrive, My Big Campus Group. So just by virtue of the fact that you created a group here, as you show us how that will fit in with your lesson, and that's part of it. Okay, My Big Campus bundles, the library, the assignments. You're just going to put all these things together into basically one lesson and show the rest of the class. So the first 2 days we're talking about Web 2.0 stuff, SkyDrive and My Big Campus, and then Wednesday will be and Thursday morning we'll be hitting Easy Teach and interactive software pretty hard. So those are kind of the two big components that come together that we'll be looking at for Thursday. Does that help? Is that a decent overview? Other questions for me? Yeah, I will get that information. So about 6 o'clock this morning, I realized I don't know that I ever told any of you I was teaching this section. So I sent them an email, but when we did it, we'll get the credit stuff arranged. So I just need to wait to hear back from them. It'll definitely get approved. I'm not worried about that. We teach this every semester, twice a semester. So it's just a matter of what their timeline on it is giving me the information. Okay, but one way or the other, it'll be posted in My Big Campus for you to register for credit. But it'll be $60 to end your user. Okay, anything else for me? Okay, you're more than welcome to stick around if you have questions or anything I can walk around and help with. But if your bucket's full for the day, then we'll see you back here at 8 in the morning or 1 in the afternoon if you want to come back for a second session. No, go ahead and leave them up. Once you log off of My Big Campus, go ahead and leave them up because we do have another section coming in at 12:30. Yeah, so you could log off your computer if you want me to shut all those down. It's like it's warmed up out there.
So question on the thing.
Yes.
So I tracked down my daughter and followed her, but
Okay.
she doesn't show up in my people list. Everybody who's part of the group shows up in that list.
But your daughter that you're following doesn't?
Right. So when you join the group, does it automatically add every member of the group to your people list?
Looks like it. I'm surprised you don't put the people you're following there though. That's
So that's really overwhelming.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I haven't looked at people much on it. I've worked a lot with groups, but I haven't. I mean, there's got to be a ton of people that are there. You bet, Bob. Good to have you here.
Yeah, I'm glad I had to go through this, because this is some stuff I was speaking.
Thank you.
I pull up my daughter,